All right, good Thursday morning. Welcome to the College World Series. Welcome to the weather. It is, what was the warmest day of the year yesterday?
It was hot.
Yeah, it was. If you were out and about, if you were working, if you were cleaning up the streets so that our visitors can manage their way around town.
I drove
Good
down.
on you.
I drove down Dodge today,
Yeah.
and the road closed sign that made us merge into the left lane was gone.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah, things happen. It's College World Series time or Nebraska football. You want a road project in this city or this state to be sped up? That's what happens. So welcome. Today is Allen Iverson Day, actually, in the city of Omaha.
Allen Iverson Day today. Am I
AI, who just turned 50?
Yeah.
We're talking about practice. Today is practice day. Down at the Chuck. It's practice. Practice all day. Practice. That's what today is. The day before the College World Series is practice day at the home for the 75th year in this city, the College World Series, which you live kind of down in that area. Did you drive by the ballpark yesterday?
I did drive by the ballpark yesterday.
Yeah.
I went to the Lot D, the media lot, where I'm supposed to be parking. I scouted out the area to make sure that I know where I have to park and where I have to walk, and went by the stadium. And then I was like, I'm by our partners at the Prairie Flower Casino. So I continued down, made my way to Avenue H, and I have my tickets here for the U.S. Open, baby.
Of course you do. But did you see they've spruced up a little bit of the ballpark? The 75th anniversary logo
is
pretty prominent. They've got right at the main entrance where they got the statue. They have a gigantic 75th anniversary. So they have gone all in on this being the 75th anniversary of the College World Series in Omaha. And I'm all for it because I like the logo. And
the logo looks great.
I like today because today has changed a little bit. So while it's Allen Iverson will not be in attendance, wouldn't that be something?
That'd be cool. That'd be so cool.
That would be one of the more unbelievable things. Like we've had number 4 seeds make the College World Series.
Yeah.
And not everybody can be Fresno State of 2008, but Murray State's going to try and be Murray State of 2025. Can you imagine if Georgetown ever made the College World Series? I believe that something would be broke with college baseball. If Georgetown made the College World Series, and that meant that Allen Iverson would show up only on practice day.
Starstruck. That would be a starstruck athlete for me. Like if he were to just be there, I don't think I would move. I don't think I could talk. Just like he's one of the last basketball players with that aura.
Yeah.
With that oh my God, guys.
It's not Tyrese Halliburton or Miles Turner.
No, they don't have
Bethune, McConnell.
No,
none of those guys.
Well,
SGA.
McConnell maybe have the Allen Iverson aura.
You can relate to him. We'll get into what happened last night in the only state that plays basketball. Apparently, the state of Indiana, where the Pacers went up 2-1 with a convincing victory, pulling away at the end. There was a masterclass and a lot of things that happened. The U.S. Open is underway this morning.
Yes, it is. Would you like an update?
Sure. I'd also like to hear what your tickets are.
Zach Blair currently leading the field 1 under through 1. So congratulations to Mr. Blair. That probably would be the winning score if he can just hold on for the next 71 holes.
People need to. The par is only 70 at Oakmont. So if you're taking a prop to go over, you're not going to be that far off.
No.
And again, I think 2 over will be the winning score for this year's U.S. Open. And if it's not, you're going to be like, hello.
Here we go.
Okay.
John Rahm to win. Plus 750.
That's a very popular pick. Good selection.
$10.
Okay.
Joaquin Niemann, best player on the LIV Tour. He's only had one top 20 finish in his 21 major starts, but he's won 4 out of 8 LIV events.
Okay.
Plus 3,000. Then I got Colin Morikawa.
Top 10.
Plus 1,200. No, to win. These are all to win.
Okay.
I am just betting to win.
All right.
Really good at hitting the fairway. 73% on the year in the PGA Tour. The second best on tour. And I have 2 more. They're 2 very, very long shots. I have $15 to win $900 on Keegan Bradley. Okay.
All right.
He likes to play tough courses. He's excited to play tough courses. He's had, in his last 2 finishes, he's had 2 top 10s.
You're saying that he would be opposed to playing Warren Swigert in Omaha, Nebraska?
I don't think he's playing the Edgebrook Municipal Course or he's playing Spring Lake anytime soon. But he is playing Oakmont. He's excited to play Oakmont. And I put $10 to win roughly 500. I did it online, not at Prairie Fire Casino, on Sepp Straka, who has
the long shot odds.
The second most strokes to gain behind Scotty Scheffler this season. So Straka, Bradley, Neiman, Rahm, Morikawa.
Good luck to the McMaster Sportsbook. Hope that it does not lead to you Monday standing in line for bread, cheese, and milk.
If we win, I'll be buying everybody drinks somewhere, especially if Keegan Bradley wins. That would be absolutely incredible. I'd be a kid in a candy store.
So we'll keep you updated on the U.S. Open, where we root for the course for 63 holes, and then I want to see the best golfer in the world commandeer the last 9. It's the one event us hackers that are lose balls regularly don't even attempt to go, I wonder what I would shoot. No, you would not. But we sit there and go, yeah, you're just like us. It's one of the rare sports and one of the rare weekends, and that sport is, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
95% of us can't do what they are doing. Hell, 98% of us can't do what an 18-year-old from Omaha, Nebraska is going to be doing when he tees off at 7:13 this morning. But I'm trying to think of other sports where you would sit on your couch and go, yeah, I could do that.
Oh.
I could do that at the level that I'm watching.
Curling.
Now, I was with you before the curling trials came to Omaha.
Okay. And then you saw it in person?
I got a full thing. And even though like a curler might look like he has a boiler and he looks like he just rolled out of the corner tavern, okay, there is some skill involved. So Joe Schmo walking off the couch and over to Baxter or over to Tranquility to start curling.
Sure.
Yeah, I used to think that way. And then they changed my mind. Those are world-class Olympic curlers, even though they look like an average Joe and Jane.
I nearly had a curling party for my birthday because of watching curling in the Winter Olympics.
A curling party?
There's places where I grew up now that are like you can go and you can curl and you can have like team events and like work events and birthday parties and stuff because enough people like me watch curling.
Some people go to Foaling to have a company outing. Now people go to do curling. This is a good curling town, by the way. It is a really good curling town. I learned a lot when the Olympic trials were here twice over at Baxter. Now, I was upset because it kicked men's basketball out, so we were on the road for the whole month of November. But I learned a lot, and this is a good town.
You were on the road for an entire month?
Yeah, because they came in and they took over Baxter.
For how long?
For about 3.5 weeks. So it was right at the start of the season in November.
The curling trials are 3.5 weeks.
Well, they have to prepare the venue.
Oh,
and then the trials are at least a week.
I think curling might be the only sport. Maybe the skeleton when they're like going down the ramp.
Okay.
It's not going to be baseball, okay? I'm not thinking that I can hit a ball.
Most people think bowling, competitive high-level bowling.
I'm a terrible bowler. I don't think that surprises anybody. I average under 100. I can't do it, okay? It's my shoulder. I got a torn labrum. I can't really get the ball as far back as I would want to and the speed I want. My dad calls it the most embarrassing thing he's ever seen when he watches me bowl. So no, I don't do bowling. No. And also too, I watch a lot of PBA, the Professional Bowling Association, because if you're a college basketball guy and you're watching FS1, what comes right after most games on FS1? It's John Fanta, who, wait, John, you were just announcing the Big East game I was watching.
John loves bowling.
Now you're announcing the PBA. This is absolutely incredible. Shout out Jason Belmonte.
Yeah, there really are no sports that us narps could roll off the couch and do.
Skeleton, curling.
No, you couldn't do skeleton. And you could not do skeleton. Trust me, you could not.
I mean,
you couldn't.
You get in a sled.
Why don't you just now go, well, you know what? Kurt Tomasevich, I think I could do what you did, okay? I think I could make a run for the Olympics in the bobsled. Stop. This is your, you know what, talking ahead of, let's hit some reality here. All right, welcome it, everybody. Gary Madoff on a Thursday. Jimmy in as well, the day before the College World Series. It is practice day downtown. Long day of every team getting a chance to take some BP, some infield, outfield, all that kind of stuff at the Chuck. Steve Sipple will join us a little bit later. Brian Edwards as well. That is the lineup brought to you by the Roofers at John Higgins Weather Guard. It used to be, so COVID killed a lot of things, and it altered what we do at the College World Series. So this used to be like the kids' day as well. Used to be the opening ceremony, so you'd have every team would come and practice, and then they would sit down on tables throughout the concourse, and they would sign autographs. And it was a great day for kids. Now, they still sign autographs. They just don't have a dedicated, we're going up to the concourse, we're going to sit down, we're going to sign autographs. But this used to be even a bigger day for kids because it would be autograph day, and then there would be opening ceremonies. And then somebody said, this was a few years ago, because they don't do opening ceremonies. I think they still do a concert.
On the first day, yeah.
Okay,
I think on Thursday they do.
So today. So there's a concert. Is it in the stadium or somewhere else?
I think it's outside.
Okay.
I think it's in the OBV Village.
My bad for not following that. I'll start paying attention
I'll
to
be
the
there
schedule tomorrow. You'll be there tonight?
No, absolutely not. We have a show tomorrow.
Wow.
I'll be partying it up though for one day.
You know what?
I've cleaned out one day.
In the McMaster Sportsbook, there is a prop. Who will bitch first? Somebody about the course at Oakmont, or you and your schedule for this College World Series?
I'm not gonna.
What are the odds?
I am not gonna bitch. I'm gonna put my face on. I'm gonna have a smile.
You should embrace the College World Series. It is Omaha. It is ours.
Absolutely. No.
Watch Ryan McGee's 10-minute video over and over and over on a loop, so that you can become one of us.
I am going to enjoy the OBV shows. I'm going to enjoy the baseball. I'm going, like I said, I got one night where I might have a little partay.
We all do. That's called Friday night.
And then
maybe Saturday after LSU Arkansas.
When anyone needs anything, look at me. I'm nodding my head. Yes, absolutely. I'll do it. Social media, I got it. Take a picture, I got it. Gary Sharp needs water. I'm running up to the press box.
I'm good with that. Internally,
you don't want me to be your butler?
No, I don't need that. I do not need that at all.
You don't even want to ring a bell, and
I would never ever in my life do that. I was opposed to having a butler or a nanny when I was a kid.
If you had the power to
the Sharps would ever have that. Like, fend for yourself, kid.
We would have a cleaning lady come for like holidays because we would host the holidays, and I never understood, and I still don't understand it to this day. But before the cleaning lady would come, my mother would go, clean the house or clean your room.
Yeah,
the cleaning lady is coming.
Yeah, that's
I've never. Why?
Well, because you don't want to put people that do that for a living.
Sure.
You don't. I think it would be disrespectful to leave them just a complete mess and expect them to come in and clean up. They were probably not saying full clean, but organize clean up stuff so there's not crap all over the place. I think that would be respectful to housekeepers that do that for a living, and they bounce from house to house and probably have some great stories to tell. Why don't maids ever write a book, a tell-all book as a maid at either a little bit of a lower leveled star hotel, like a hotel that Akron would get as a recruit, or at a hotel like Georgia would get as a recruit. I would like to see like a maid's tale. Like yes, that would be a great phrase for the book, like a tell-all book of what goes on.
I'm pretty sure that's
when it was made. What you see, what happens to you.
Why are maids always the villain in movies? I feel like in some movies when I see maids, they are the bad people. Like they're stealing money.
Like Hans Gruber?
There's been movies where you're watching the maid and the maid steals the money from the drawer, right? Or she takes something, or the maid knows that the husband's having an affair, that the wife's having an affair, and she tells everybody about it. Or there's that
what movies do you watch?
Oh, I'm just saying in general. These are just generalities, but I feel like these are classic things that happen. Or what's that movie with Ben Affleck where they try and have the people
kind of left it open ended there.
Argo, is it Argo or is it it's Fargo or Argo?
Argo.
It's Argo.
Yeah,
it's one of those.
Both storylines are a little bit different.
Okay,
yeah,
one's really cold.
One's international, one's North Dakota.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. In Argo, when they're in the Canadian embassy, right? Who rats out the Americans in the Canadian embassy? But the maids.
Good point. That was very underrated movie, by the way.
Incredible.
John Goodman was really, really good in that. All right, the lineup from the Roofery's: John Higgins, weather guard Sip, and B. Edwards will join us again. It is all-day practice day downtown. No major league game. It doesn't seem like that was that long ago that we had a major league game right before the College World Series started between Detroit and Kansas City. Nicky Lopez will never forget it. Hitting a home run.
Did he hit one here?
He hit one here.
That's incredible.
And you know why it's significant?
Because he went to Creighton.
Yeah, he went to Creighton, and it was his first major league home run. We're never getting back in a Major League Baseball game here.
Why?
Major League Baseball
tried to get the A's, and they wouldn't.
Major League
tried to get the Rays too.
So one thing, it's a bummer that they don't have a dedicated autograph day. I mean, guys still sign autographs, but again, they don't come and they sit down at a table and you just go through a line and get all 8 teams. A lot of coaches, because they also have a big cookout for them, a lot of coaches are like, that's a long day to be on your feet.
Sure.
Because they had the opening ceremonies and you were at the stadium and you marched in and then you had the fireworks and all of them. And then you maybe had a band or something like that. So coaches said it's just a long day and that's a long time to be on our feet. We'd like to get back with our team, get them off their feet, get them something to eat and, get on with the night. But when Major League Baseball was here, it was great for the city. I had a lot of fun. It was awesome, but Major League Baseball did not get a good feedback from the Royals and the Tigers.
In terms of the facilities?
Well, not a little bit of the facilities, but also it was kind of, I think the general feeling was it was inconvenient. Like they get a thing out of doing the Little League or going to London or stuff like that.
I was about to say, the Cubs went to
they do the London and they do the Little League. And then they went to Birmingham last year as we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the death of the Say Kid. Is they just like the Tigers and the Royals were like, man, we got it. This is great. This is a great experience. I think their impression was a little bit inconvenient. Some of the facilities, some of the parts of the facilities were not what they were used to.
Yeah.
So, they're not. We're probably not going to have a Major League Baseball game again, but we will have the College World Series for the 75th year beginning tomorrow. Omaha Baseball Village opens at noon. You guys want to know what the story will be at Omaha Baseball Village today?
The Cubano sandwiches?
No, those are in the stadium.
Oh, that's all in the stadium?
Yes.
What is going to be the story?
Guess who is a new food vendor for our out-of-towners at the Omaha Baseball Village?
Runza.
Wow. So Runza is one of the new food vendors amongst other food vendors. How many reports, like video reports, will be done about consuming our Hot Pocket?
There's going
or locals interviewing outstaters about eating a Runza for the first time.
You are the first person, by the way.
Stories just write themselves.
I never wanted to say it, but I'm glad we're on the same page. When you called it a Hot Pocket, it is a Hot Pocket.
That was, and I use that phrase because a friend of mine who came to a football game had heard the name, but didn't know exactly what it was. And that's what he said. He goes, "Oh, it's a Hot Pocket. It's a Hot Pocket with cabbage and meat.
It's a Nebraska hand warmer.
It's your beef and cabbage Hot Pocket. That's exactly what it is."
People in Cincinnati die on that stupid hill about Skyline chili. Hey, you know what? Cheese and chili and soup, great. They'll die on that hill. There are a lot of people that'll die on the hill of Runza. Plus, you know what? Runza survived.
But
Scott Frost didn't survive, but Runza survived.
And that's the takeaway.
But the classic thing about Runza, a little bit like Whataburger and a little bit like In-N-Out and a little bit like the Skyline, well, not the Skyline chili, but Whataburger and In-N-Out, is that a lot of people say, well, a Runza isn't the best thing at Runza. How people will be like, well, Whataburger isn't the best thing at Whataburger.
Now, there is some validity to that.
There is a lot of people who think that mushroom Swiss burger, it can go pound for pound with that Runza.
I wasn't going there.
Where were you going?
That cheeseburger is pretty good.
Yeah.
And then
just
you get
the regular cheeseburger?
Man, and then you get the frings,
Some
or you
people
order onion rings and
get the
somehow a
ranch.
fry slips in there.
Intravenous ranch.
Only thing I have against Runza is they're a Pepsi place. Garbage.
But the ranch.
But
the ranch.
I'm not drinking the ranch. I'd like a little
urgent care. They offer it to you.
You may not be drinking the ranch.
I'm not a former Nebraska football player that ends up at Amigos in downtown Lincoln back in the day.
But I'm drinking the ranch.
Okay, well, I mean,
that ranch is absolutely incredible.
A little bit different. Do you drink it sober or when you after 2 a.m.?
We all have our things.
Like if there's a little bit left and I'm out of fries, I just dip the cup a little. I just dip it back and I sip the rest. I swear to you, I have a ranch ranking on my phone.
I know you do.
I rank every ranch.
He's available, ladies.
You have extra ranch left over in the Amigos cup or
in the
cup?
Runza cup. If I have like a little bit of that ranch cup left,
you will
tip it back.
You will drink it like
a shot.
Like somebody might drink cereal when the cereal is gone and it's just the milk.
I think that's the perfect example. I think you're absolutely right. If there was a bowl.
Ooh.
Just take it's a little sip. Ooh. It's a little sip of ranch.
No, you can't sip ranch. You got to
Well, yeah, but
you stick the tongue in there?
No. I'm not disgusting.
You got to use the tongue.
You got to use the tongue.
I don't think I have to use the tongue.
I think you use the
cup.
tongue to clean up the ranch.
Yep.
I don't think you can just pop it back and it just goes into your mouth. I think you got to insert the tongue.
Mm-hmm. I'm telling you from experience, I haven't had to insert my tongue into the ranch. I can just pop it back.
Might be a life-changing experience. Use that tongue.
Mm-hmm. That's your life advice for the day. And for this 2 weeks
So,
coming
out
up,
of
Omaha
context,
Baseball
you-
state
Village
20 of the
is
zone.
open
Use your
today.
tongue.
All right, when we come back, you can convince me of something.
To not use your tongue when drinking ranch.
I'm probably not going to drink ranch. Okay.
It's a good ranch.
Well, I'm not. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying I'm
does
probably.
one drink
I'm
ranch
probably
or
not-
eat ranch?
You know, when I have a little bit left over, I'm not going to be like, you know what? Hey, no one's looking. I'm probably not going to do that.
I do take a good scan around to see whose eyes are on me when I do said thing.
All right, we are off and running again. Welcome. The College World Series is a day away, and the weather has arrived as well. Just like the teams flew into Epley yesterday. Woo pig suey. And we have, I guess, a LSU, not a paper mache, but some gigantic tiger that is on the way to Omaha.
Hell yeah.
Go Tigers. Go Tigers. We're off and running on a Thursday morning edition of Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, Gary Matt is presented by AGR Roofing and Construction. AGR Roofing and Construction, local quality service. Don't forget to go to agrroofingandconstruction.com to get your first free inspection today. Hey, partner.
All right, welcome back in. It's Thursday. It's the day
That
before
it
the
is.
College World Series begins. And our coverage from Omaha Baseball Village, all the games, all the excitement, all the fun and frivolity will be downtown where OBV opens up today. It's practice day. All 8 teams have arrived. Downtown is bustling. I don't know that for sure, but I'm just going to assume that downtown is bustling.
We'll see. We'll see when I go down there. We'll see when I go down there today. I can't wait for practice. I don't think there's anything
Make it
more
sound
therapeutic.
like they're going to be bras hanging from the light post.
Not today, Jimmy. Maybe tomorrow, though.
It is supposed to warm up this weekend.
Is there anything more therapeutic than watching guys who are incredible at baseball do BP?
Yeah, professional guys that hit with a real bat where it sounds a lot better.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I wasn't saying
one of the best sounds in all of sports is an empty
wasn't
ballpark hearing BP with a wood bat.
I wasn't saying with a metal bat. I wasn't comparing metal bats
There's
with
a lot
wood
of truth
bats.
to that.
I was just saying, like, just in general, therapeutic watching BP.
No.
I find it very therapeutic.
I think it's more therapeutic to watch a good infield outfield.
Really?
Yes. A good infield outfield executed really well with precision and good fungo hitting.
Yeah.
I think is more, what's the word you used?
Aura?
No.
Therapeutic?
Therapeutic.
Oh,
my bad.
That's what I would use. All right, last night in the state of Indiana, where they do take their basketball seriously.
Apparently they invented it.
They did invent basketball.
That's
and you know what?
Movie said.
They invented what a roster looks like, what a coaching clinic looks like, a master class last night.
Yes.
What a bench that has some depth looks like. And I know I brought this up, and I don't have a dog in the hunt, so I'm watching as a casual observer, and I'm not a box score watcher, which people watch the box score. They don't watch the games, and I think if you watch the games, you're like, man, we might have a long series here. But I brought up the fact that Oklahoma City had this incredible regular season. They've had a nice run in the postseason, and if they dispose of Indiana pretty quickly, and I think I said the Thunder in 6. I was not on the Thunder 5, but I said the Thunder in 6. That you could talk possibly about them being one of the better teams, but they also are in danger of being the 16 Golden State Warriors.
Yes.
Who win 73, don't win the final, and the guy on the roster wins the MVP, and you're like, I forgot it. SGA, you've had a nice series, but you know what? You're exhausted now because Indiana is throwing everything at you. So what the Pacers are doing, and I mean, I think the non-box score watchers are giving them the proper credit because they were really good after January 1.
Yeah.
Is you could make a case, everybody else could make a case that this series is over. That Indiana is up 2-1 with Game 4 at home on Friday night. I'm not saying
you just made it move.
I'm not saying
Come
that's
on,
what I'm going to say.
on.
But you could convince me that the way this series is being played and who is playing in this series, from the sidelines to on the court, that winning last night in the way that Indiana did, that this series is over. Not over like in 5.
Yeah.
But the series of who's going to win is over. Would you like to convince me of
yes,
that?
Convince me
If you are buying into that as well.
Do you want a stat?
Give me a stat.
Yay.
Teams that win the third game after the series is tied 1-1 have gone on to win the NBA Finals 80% of the time.
That's a B.
Okay. Here's another stat for you. Benedict Mathurin had 27 points yesterday.
He did.
It is the most points off of the bench since when?
Well, Jason Terry, when the Mavs stole the NBA championship from the Heat.
That's an incredible. Absolutely right. 27 points. That is now the second time
well done.
Something in this series has happened since that 2011 series, which Rick Carlisle was coaching.
Yeah.
Well,
okay. There's the
series
connection.
is over.
Connected.
How many days away till the Cincinnati game?
I want I'm not. I don't think it's over. I still think
All right.
OKC is going to win in 6.
I'm not saying it's over, but I was going to say you could convince me, and I would listen.
I'm not going to
You could
try.
New York Nick cold call me, and I would pick up the phone.
I do think that what Indiana did yesterday with Miles Turner was absolutely incredible, and they kind of let him loose in a way. And he finally, in this series, and it took him 96 minutes to do so, put his shoulder right into the skinny chest of Chet Holmgren multiple times and got to the basket, and he dominated him in that fourth quarter. But I still think that OKC is the better team. I still think that the better team is going
Sometimes
to end
the better
up winning.
Team doesn't win.
Is going to end up winning the series. I wouldn't be shocked if they end up winning 3 games in a row and
Oklahoma City,
and they still end up winning this game in 6.
Ooh.
I think that they dominate. They should be up 2-1. They should be up 2-1.
A lot of things.
You're going to make a case that you think Oklahoma City could be even. You're right. So they've led 90% of the time in the finals. But God,
and they played them really close yesterday, and they had a bad fourth quarter.
They made them really uncomfortable last night. What they do with their lineup, where they don't sacrifice size, and what they're doing to SGA, and they're just a smarter basketball team IQ-wise, and it's a masterclass on the sidelines.
Rick Carlisle may be the best coach in the league.
I don't see Indiana I don't see Indiana losing 3 in a row.
He's a modern day Pop.
Oklahoma City could win the series, but
I do want to say this.
Not 3 in a row.
I don't want to be the Indiana Pacer hater, because if we remember,
there's a lot of them out there. But
if we remember last week,
they wake up this morning and go, okay, they're more than just a resilient basketball team that always wears yellow.
I think
looks good.
I think last week, you and I were both in agreement of the fact that we thought that Indiana was way closer to Oklahoma City than a lot of people were giving them credit for.
About 10 hours.
And that the Pacers actually were built very similar to the Oklahoma City Thunder and probably could fight fire with fire. I just think that what we've seen through OKC this entire playoff run, from what we've seen from them in the regular season, and the fact that they really should be up 2-1. Like the fact that they're not up 2-1, and that this, if one of the most incredible comebacks I've ever seen, if one of the most incredible comebacks I've ever seen didn't happen in game 1, this would just be a standard. All right, hey, Indiana got their one game at home. I have no doubt in my mind,
game 2,
0 doubt in my mind, that the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to come back in game 4 in Indiana and win that game, and it's going to be 2-2 heading in to Oklahoma City, and they're going to retake control of the series. I just have too much confidence in this team. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the MVP of the league for a reason. I think that this team also, their inexperience.
He's wore down.
They can't. But they got other pieces on that team too. Like, other pieces got to step up.
Who is that other piece on that team?
Chet Holmgren has to play better in the fourth quarter.
Okay, yeah, he played well at the beginning of the game last night.
Really well at the beginning of the game.
But then he got abused by Miles Turner.
But I mean,
in the fourth quarter,
like they have guys on that team. They have Jalen Williams. They have Chet Holmgren. They have Lou Dort, who they just have to.
They have Alex Caruso.
They have to play better. And it can't just all be, SGA's worn down, he's not going to play well. They also, too, Indiana got an absolutely incredible game from Benedict Mathurin, who put on a performance that hasn't happened in 14 years. Okay? I don't mean to be making all the excuses for Oklahoma City, but I do think that just straight up, the talent rises to the top. In a 7-game series, it's made for the best team to win. I think that Oklahoma City has proven all year long that they are the best team. I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it was in 6. I think it'll probably have to be in 7 now, because Indiana has proven that they can just steal games. But
no.
They stole game 1.
Okay, there. Last night was a masterclass.
Last night was great.
I'm going to go back to something you said, and I agree with you. Like, Rick Carlisle is one of the best coaches in the NBA. I mean, he is. They are a very smart basketball team. I would love to be in their film review. Game 2, look what they did with Siakam. They were hunting these matches. They were hunting Wallace. They were hunting Williams. They were hunting SGA. They threw a lot at him. They hunted SGA. They got him in unfortunate situations. They worked better with the Halliburton pick and roll. Rick Carlisle last night ran Degno into the ground. It was a master class. And then you throw in the talent, and it's they're resilient. Yes, they have another stat out there that they're 4-0 in the postseason when they lose the prior game by 15 or more. And there's people that are going to look at him and they're probably going to root for him. And that's why I say, can they pull this off? Again, no dog in the hunt. I just would like a long series.
No.
I would like the intricacies of the X's and O's like we saw last night where there's matchups and you see where coaches matter in the NBA in crunch time. But we have to get over this point of, oh, it's Indiana. They were 44-16 in their last 60. They won 12 of 16 in the postseason before they got to the finals. It's okay to say out loud, they're good. Well, and don't look at the number next to their name that shows you what their seed is. They're a good basketball team that is playing a fellow good basketball team. And now I hope we have a long series. But there's a couple of things also that happened last night.
Yeah.
With not only Rick Carlisle and pushing all the right buttons. And man, he knows his roster. He has got the pulse of that roster. And we haven't even brought up Halliburton. Something is starting to develop in this series that was an advantage against Minnesota.
Oh.
How many times has Doris Burke said foul baiter?
0.
Okay. So something has happened here in the 2 games that Indiana has won. And I think this happens the longer series goes. SGA is still trying to get fouls. They're not being called.
They're not.
So last night he tried to do it in the fourth quarter early, and they let it go. And I think as the series goes on, and it's not the same officials every game, officials are going to stick with that, and they're not going to let him get away with it. Remember, Minnesota brought that up, so there's that chatter before you get to the series. The 2 games that Indiana has won, SGA has not been able to do one of the things in his repertoire, which includes an incredible mid-range game. And I think that has hurt them.
6 free throw attempts last night.
6 free throw attempts, 6 turnovers. Is that right?
Let me look at the box score here. 6 turnovers. Good call. I mean, it's also another one of those things too, where we talk about Indiana and everyone's like, oh, OKC in 5 or whatever. Like, look how thin the margins have been in terms of what you and I are talking about. You and I are talking about a 3-minute stretch in game 1 that led Indiana to win game 1. And we were talking about a 6-minute stretch in that fourth quarter where what shifted the game was Miles Turner and him being dominant in the paint. That's how close these teams are. We're probably a combination of 7 minutes has really determined where this series is at. And I think the best thing that Rick Carlisle did yesterday was he didn't just keep Benedict Mathurin on the court when he was playing really well. He let him go. Like he let him play the game. He let him get those one-on-ones. He had that little like shoestring dribble when he had like 21 points. And
he is super athletic. I don't know if people remember that at college.
He was hitting mid-ranges yesterday. He was hitting shoulder bump fades yesterday with the amount of confidence. And to have a guy who suffered a really bad injury last year with that torn labrum in March to come back and have that performance, but then also have that confidence and touch. Rick Carlisle is. I feel like we've ignored him a little bit.
Here's what we're ignoring. Who's the GM of the Pacers? Because the way they put this roster together, this is a really well put together roster. Then you get to you talk about the bench. You get the 37 points off the bench. You get Obi Toppin, who
hell of a dunk.
I think Dayton would have made the Final Four if COVID hadn't gotten the 2020 season. But T.J. McConnell was the defensive menace. He came in and gave you 10 points last night. They have guys down from Halliburton, right behind Halliburton, that are just winners. You know, I mean, TJ McConnell, because both teams have that guy. TJ McConnell plays for Indiana. Alex Caruso plays for Oklahoma City. Guys that, your Caruso's headband gets larger and larger, it seems like, every game. But you need those guys on your roster because what do? They make winning plays. Look at the New England Patriots. Caruso and McConnell are the Wes Welker and Julian Edelman of the New England Patriots. They're sneaky.
Wow.
They're sneaky athletic. That's what they are. But you know what? Those guys make winning plays. And so you look at Indiana's roster, they have, not everybody is built the same.
Sure.
They have a bunch of different options. And then you factor in the head coach and you put Oklahoma City in a blender. And that's what they did last night. They won a lot of picking you apart. That's why I love to watch the film. I'd love to be in a film room with Carlisle and his assistants when they come up with, okay, this didn't work so well in game 2. This is what we're going to do. Because you saw that early with Siakam. Siakam got put in uncomfortable spots game 2. They came out and they were already picking on matchups that would be more conducive to get Siakam going early. And he got going early, but in the fourth quarter, he didn't have to be the guy with Halliburton, who wasn't really the guy.
He wasn't great, but he was good.
Yeah,
he was really good yesterday.
Good
well, in game one, very early on, Carlisle was able to get some of those matchups early with whether it be Siakam or whether it be Halliburton. And Dagno just started making some adjustments in terms of who's starting on who. And so when they got their switches, they wouldn't have a disadvantage. And it took Rick Carlisle about a game and a half until yesterday to then refigure out how they're going to get the matchups that they want. But you said something yesterday, and this has to do with soccer, about that stuck with me literally the entire day, where you said that your friend said that the United States men's national team plays soccer like they've been trained to play soccer. And all the other European countries play soccer like they picked up the ball on the street and they just played, right? And they just fell in love with the game. I think Andrew Nemhard plays basketball how Europeans play soccer.
Okay.
Like he plays, and he only had 8 points yesterday and 4 rebounds. Like it wasn't like he was incredible, but the way he initiates the offense, but it is remarkable. But his basketball instincts, he made some plays yesterday where he put himself maybe not in the greatest opportunity, but then used his instincts to then make his mistakes into advantages for Indiana, which allowed them to rotate around the 3-point line and get some shots. And so I watch him play, and what you said that yesterday about the soccer team, I was watching him play. I'm like, man, this guy plays free. He plays basketball like he wasn't dribbling around chairs, hitting mid-range shots. He plays basketball like he's been playing competition his entire life. And when you have a guy like that initiating the offense for Indiana, I mean, it really showed yesterday, especially in that fourth quarter.
All right, Game 4 of the NBA Finals is Friday night. There is hockey tonight, if you care. Just shows you where it's at. Shows you tonight is a pivotal game. Game 4 in the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. Is anybody chitter-chattering about it outside of Edmonton and Florida?
Not really, unfortunately. I think Florida's going to win tonight. They'll go up 3-1. Then I think Edmonton will take the game. Then it'll be 3-2. And then Florida ends up winning the series 4-2.
Okay. In the mixed sports book.
Yes.
Did you here, I'll give you a little, you like the stats?
I love stats.
So good teams win, great teams cover, correct?
Yeah.
Oklahoma City is now 0-8 against the spread on the road in the playoffs.
Ooh, yeah. So yesterday was 5.5. They lost that game by 9. So
elite teams, I guess I will retire the discussion about Oklahoma City being thrown in with a mid-2000s Golden State or a late 90s Bulls team. I've retired that. That is not the case. They still may win a championship, but good teams win, great teams cover.
What do you think the odds are for the Indiana Pacers to win the NBA Finals right now?
I know it has taken a drastic turn overnight.
Yes.
Give it to me.
Plus 185.
Okay.
It's still plus money.
Mm-hmm. It's at some point I think though that from the mixed sports book, they're looking at it the same way as you are.
Sure.
Oklahoma City still is a great team.
Yes.
They're only down 2-1. It felt watching that game, the way the game was played, that Indiana has figured out Oklahoma City, and Oklahoma City needs not only SGA to be SGA, they got to find those other guys, and they've got to get the guy who, I think there's only 2 players in the history of the NBA that play in slow motion.
Nick Anderson?
Cat and Holmgren. They actually play the game in slow motion.
Yeah.
They need to find more from him if he is going to be considered one of the better players in the NBA. I don't throw around the star. Your generation is too loose with throwing around the word star.
I didn't throw around star.
Your generation throws the star out there like, oh, Halliburton, he's a star. No, you got to be special to be a star. But on this stage, you can be one of the better players. It just waking up this morning after last night, the way the game was played, I'm like, okay, that's why I said, you could convince me that Indiana is going to win this series.
I think I could. I don't think you're wrong. I think I definitely could tell you, like, if you've been watching this and you've been watching how the rotations have been, and you have seen the fact that, look, I'm skating over it, and maybe I'll admit my fault here, but I am skating over the fact that the Indiana Pacers have outperformed the Oklahoma City Thunder in 2 of the 3 fourth quarters.
Yep.
Like that's nothing. I mean, I feel like that has to be a focal point there. And I feel like alone, I can convince you by saying Indiana, even before this series, was built a lot like OKC and can compete with OKC. And when you get to the fourth quarter, who do you trust more now, Indiana or OKC? I think the obvious answer is Indiana. So that alone, I think I can convince you where they're going to be competitive enough to get to the fourth quarter. And we've seen now proven twice in a close game, in both close games, they've been able to outperform. Done.
A little bit later, Steve Sipple will join us, Brian Edwards as well, on a Thursday edition on the day before the College World Series, practice day. Talking about practice. Dingers and dongs and dogs.
We ain't talking about the game, man. We ain't talking about the game.
We're back with more after this. What will parking be, you think, As you get closer to the Chuck.
A nightmare?
No, I'm talking money. So we can't, one of the lost things of moving from 13th Street to downtown is you could park in somebody's yard, slip them a 5, a 10, or a 20, and you park there all day in their front yard in that great neighborhood over in South Omaha. So now we're in corporate lots, or some lots controlled, but some lots are still like businesses. Have we reached the $50 parking lot?
Oh my God.
Because professional sports, hey, when people get ready to go to Arrowhead at the end of August as a Chief knower, and if you've been to a Royals game, I mean, parking has gone through the roof down at the K where it's like $40-$50.
Whoa. Like
yes.
to the team parking lot, like in front of the
stadium parking lot.
It's $40 to $50?
Go to a Chiefs game, it's $50 to park.
That is insane.
Mm-hmm. So
I have no read on it, honestly.
So will we get a $50 lot for this year's College World Series, a couple of blocks away from the Chuck?
Probably. I would probably expect so. I mean, I'm used to $40 to $50 parking, but that is because my favorite teams growing up decided to put the stadiums that I watch games at in the most inconvenient places in town, where you literally couldn't build a parking lot. So it was standard that you had to pay $40 to $50 in order to be anywhere near close to the stadiums could go to. But I feel like if you're in a team paved parking lot, like $10 to $20 is like pretty standard, or should be the standard.
Oh, I think that's minimum.
Well, I mean, maybe it is minimum, but I'm saying should be the standard.
Make a lot of money off of parking. Lots of money off of parking.
$50. That is too much. And then you got to go, if you do it like 5 days, you spend $250 on parking.
Mm-hmm. Well, look at let's say, and location of, like, let's say you're going to a Royals game. Your location is, there aren't hotels where you're walking across I-70 to go from the Adams Mark into the K. So you have to drive to the K. Think about if you're down there for a 3-game series. What if you're down there, so the Yankees and the Royals play the last game of their series today? Royals lost 7 in a row.
Tough.
Bring up kegs and Reagan's goes down, possibly a rotator cuff. Yeah. So you're, before you even get in the ballpark and you factor in tickets, you're what, at least 100 plus in just parking?
At least. That is crazy.
So if you see a $50 parking lot close to the stadium, please take a picture and you can tweet it at Gary Sharp 1620. Would you like to update the masses on what is going on with the synchronized mowers at the U.S. Open at Oakmont?
The synchronized mowers.
You see that?
No.
So the young groundskeepers have had synchronized mowing. They've been in unison of about, an army of 12 to 15 of them come out with their push mowers.
Hell yeah.
And they mow the rough and people cheer. I think we found an Olympic sport of synchronized mowing.
That would be better than breakdancing. Would you watch?
I think any sporting event or any activity is fair game now to be in the Olympics.
Would you not watch? Let me throw this out there for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
We go to where the Summer Olympics is going to be, okay? Which
is slated to be in Los Angeles.
We take residential homeowners from across the world, okay? Mm-hmm. And we place them in LA, and we put them there 4 months before the beginning of the Olympics. And we tell them, hey, you have 4 months to create the best lawn you possibly can in this location. And then at the end of the 4 months, we will come and we are going to judge who has made the best lawn. And then it's like Olympic lawn mowing. And then you're like,
might that be the best place to take care of your lawn? Because
well, that's
of
the challenge.
The climate?
That's the challenge.
Let's go to Tucson.
It's a dry heat.
Hey, your AstroTurf front yard. But yeah, they've had the army of push mowers, but they're underway. Again, Trevor Gucheski will tee off at 7:13, so we are 10 minutes away from the 18-year-old from Omaha West Side, graduate of Omaha West Side, teeing off. Wouldn't that be something if he made it? Wouldn't that be? And hey, it's not out of the realm of possibility. It would be jaw-dropping, but would be a great story with his dad if he made it to Father's Day. If he made the cut and he got to play on the weekend, I can't wait to watch him. I don't think he'll get overwhelmed He won't finish. He won't be embarrass himself. That's what I'm trying to say. Would you like to give everybody an update?
Ludwig Oberg has so far conquered Oakmont and is 2 under through 2. It's over. It's over. He's done it. He's conquered the beast. He's slain the dragon. JJ Spawn 1 under through 2, tied with, I do not know who this is, Maxwell Moldovan.
Yeah, who is 1 under through 2. So Fitzpatrick is 1 under through 1.
And then we have a lot of evens.
Hey, look who is even through his first hole.
Is that Jason Day?
That's Rory McIlroy.
Oh, okay. I thought that was Jason Day. Look at Rory's up there. Spawn's up there. Xander Schauffele's even. Hideki Matsuyama is also even as well. Is Vernon going to do his U.S. Open update today on Twitter?
He just does the Masters.
What's going on in Oakmont?
He just does the Masters.
What's going on in Oakmont?
Jesus, they're on the second hole. Holy crap! So that's Rory's approach shot.
Lordy.
All right, the greens seem to be holding.
They are. They're not that fast right now from what I've seen. And Keegan Bradley, did he birdie that one? So now he's back to even? I'm just checking for mixed sportsbook reasons here.
Yes, he is even. So he's tied for 5th. Good luck there. All right, we'll keep you updated. U.S. Open is underway in Oakmont. Man, they're about 8 to 10 deep. Oh, Jesus. Before hitting in that rough, that rough was that was up to like mid calf. I don't know who. Oh, that's DeChambeau.
That was Bryson. Yeah. That was actually a very good. Did you watch his video on YouTube?
Yeah, I'm a little contradicted about Bryson, who has a nice little run of playing well at the U.S. Opens. Of course, he's the defending champion. I don't know what to believe on a day-to-day basis about him as a personality and his connection to fans, because there are days where I'm like, okay, I like this guy. And then there's other days like, you're still riding the douche canoe.
Why do you say that?
Sometimes I think there's things that he does that are still fake.
Okay.
But he's not as fake as he used to be. And I think he's connecting more with fans, and he's letting his golf game do the speak for itself. And his golf game is really, really good. I saw that video. And I was like,
the douche canoe is a little, I don't want to call it the douche canoe. I just want to call it the fake canoe, where it's just clearly like, okay. So when he had the press conference.
No, I think once you're a douche, you still got some douchey in you.
I don't disagree
until
with
you're
that.
taking a dirt nap. You can't, once you're a douche, you can't completely get rid of being a douche.
When he was sitting up at the press conference.
What do you think, Jimmy? Is that a good?
I think you never truly shed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
He has done a really good job of shedding that along with his body.
Well, when he was doing the whole, I inverted the club face on the heel to like this angle, and we were able to make sure that my grips were in line with the toe coming through on the groove, so that way I can get a degree. Like, dude, I don't care. Like I really don't care. I don't care about the whole.
That's the part where I go,
he's just trying to show that he's so smart, and he's so. I don't give a damn about how you adjust your clubs and what you do. Just do what you got to do and hit the ball.
What golfer currently out there do you think connects the most with the fans?
Scotty Scheffler. Scotty Scheffler in the way
that street cred.
Scotty Scheffler in the way that he just very much is a human. He was just a regular guy who's picking up. Like, I think his son, this is so stupid to say, but I do think it's true that his son has helped him connect with fans a little bit more, because it's like, oh wow, he's a dad just like I am. His kid also has crap all over him, just like my kid has crap all over him. And he's also has to like, hey, congratulations on playing 18 for 6 hours. Here's the baby. Go ahead and take care of the baby.
But do you think, and listen, it's too easy to jump on him as a favorite in this.
I don't think there's any such thing as a favorite in this.
And he has the most dominating odds since Tiger in 2009. It almost seems like they're just daring you, because he is so friggin' good. And if he handles the mental part, because the physical part is there, but the USGA sets up the U.S. Open to bang you in the mental part. Okay, that's what this is set up to do. So if he's able to overcome the mental part of playing on a course like this and he wins, I mean, turn in your clubs and just let him play by himself for the rest of the season on the tour. Yeah. I like him a lot, and I know that he's never going to be the
Tiger, the actual Tiger.
Well, I mean, he's the closest thing we've had in a while. But from this standpoint, I think the way that Scotty Scheffler is playing, and I'm not saying you're wrong in selecting him as the guy that is connected to the fans. I think fans are in awe of him. They root for him,
but they're not
instead of like,
to him.
They're like, oh man, yeah, you've had troubles, and I love you. I think fans are in awe of how good Scotty Scheffler is.
Do you think Rory winning the Masters might have disconnected him from fans in a way? Because Rory, and I'm not claiming this, but I'm just throwing it out there.
Oh, I think we got the feels back in April, didn't we?
But that's the thing about Rory. Rory was the epitome of like coming so close yet being so far.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see your struggles through like your personal struggles through how Rory played golf. You're like, man, like he just wants to win that green jacket, just like how I want to do this. And I've come up short a lot, and he comes up short a lot. And you had that like sympathy and emotion towards him.
Mm-hmm.
But now he's done it, and he's won the Grand Slam. And it's like,
but hasn't he?
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
But hasn't he? So it's important for him to play well, because since the Masters,
he is not.
I mean, he missed the last tournament out. He missed the cut, but the whole driver controversy has kind of followed him around,
and he's pissed about it.
And he is putting on 2, so he's even right now for birdie. Damn, he just nailed about a 35-foot putt. So Rory McIlroy is a shot back through 2. So good start for him. So, but I think because Tiger was still doing Tiger things, and Rory came along, and he was a young buck who started to win, and he was a foreigner, and he was out there, he was talking, and he was a guy that was going to challenge Tiger. So we said, no, Rory, bad guy.
Yeah,
and then as Tiger left and we had a split, Rory became the face of the PGA Tour, and we're like, Rory, go get him. So I think people have already determined I'm on the Rory train. I'm riding Rory, and whatever Rory does the rest of his career, I got my Augusta. We got the Slam. I don't think he can lose that unless, something unforeseen happens.
Here's a funny one,
well, and he'll get a lot of people back if he plays well this weekend.
Here's a funny one,
and he talks to the media.
Well, so he was the one press conference that I watched. He did not look very happy about the questions he was being asked.
Suck it up, Buttercup.
Terrell Hatton. I kind of love him. I kind of love that he is like the psycho crazy, like screaming and yelling on the golf course, just like everybody else. Like I think, like I kind of connect to him in a way when he's like losing his mind, and like because he like duffed the chip and it's now in the rough, and he's got to like now you got to get up and down for par, and he's like screaming, and like people don't like playing with him because he's crazy. I think everybody who's played golf before has been a Terrell Hatton. It's just Hatton decides to be at 18 holes. The thing about those Irish golfers and Northern Irish golfers is when they blow up, they blow up. Like they
don't need Shane Lowry blowing up today.
Why does the Sharp Sports Book have some Shane Lowry action?
I like not to win, but we're
top 10.
Okay. Kyle writes in, tweets in actually at Mac McMedia at Gary Sharp 1620. JD, earmuffs. We're talking a little bit golf here. I don't think many people were rooting for Rory to win the Masters. I think most of us were rooting for another classic collapse. Rory's slightly more likable than Bryson.
There are people.
I'll
be
fair.
Rory.
There was a little dynamic there of, man, this is a good story. He's finally going to get it. And then when he started to collapse, you're like, ooh. And then as he pulled out of it, you're like, yeah.
The best example I can relate this to is, and I know it's pro wrestling, but it's like, but it's a good contrast here. When Cody Rhodes won the WWE Championship, the entire storyline was Cody's got to win it for his dad. Cody's got to get it done. Cody's got to win the title. He's got to be the one to take it off of Roman. And then he won the title, and you were kind of like, oh, he did it. Like what do we do from here? And like from that point on, it was an uphill battle to like make that title run worth it, to make him what he was before he was the champion. I think the same exact thing with Rory. Rory was like, he's got to win the green jacket. He's got to win the green jacket. Like he's got to do, and then he did it. And you're like, all right, like Like, where do you go from here? Like, it's hard waking up in the morning with silk sheets and cotton pajamas. Cotton sheets and silk pajamas. I got that mixed up.
All right. When we come back, we've gone this far in the offseason in Nebraska football without talking about something. So it's time to talk about something that normally gets brought up because it's June. Plus, this being the 75th anniversary of the College World Series, how come they're not doing like 75 greatest moments?
Oh.
Because I have the two that stand out to me when I think local. We'll do that when we come back. Steve Sipple a little bit later. Brian Edwards as well. It's Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. Your most valuable asset is your home. That is a no-brainer. So if that's your most valuable asset, what do you do to protect it? You know what? You turn to the MVPs of roofing in Omaha, Moose Roofing. Pat Moose and his entire crew, they are professionals that will take care of you. Maybe your roof, for example, is still in disarray after the storms, even from last year. Well, get a hold of Moose Roofing. Roofing, siding, gutters, residential, commercial, repair. That's what they specialize in. And this is what happens. When you set up an inspection/consultation, they'll come out, they'll sit down with you, they'll take photos, they will get to know you as a person, they will get on your roof, they will assess the damage, then they will work with your insurance company. The communication is top-notch from the first meeting to the end of the job. They keep you updated on everything that's going on. And remember, that insurance component is a huge thing that Moose Roofing is devoted to, making that less of a hassle. So you have roofing needs. There is only one place to go. You know what? Call up Pat today and say, hey, send Sean Michael out. I've heard he does great things. They will do great things for you. Roofing, siding, gutters. You need it fixed. There's only one place to turn to. They're local. They've been in business for nearly 30 years. Here before the storm, during the storm, after the storm, and in the College World Series. It is Moose Roofing. Look them up online at mooseroofing.com. All right, good Thursday morning, the day before the College World Series begins. It is practice day. I think they started 8 this morning.
Okay.
Downtown. The teams, so they go backwards. The teams that play first tomorrow, Arizona and Coastal Carolina, practice first, and then LSU, Arkansas, they go last. Where
that's going to be brutal for the news stations.
What do you mean?
Well, because I know that they're probably going to be targeting in on like Arkansas and LSU as the teams that they want to cover, and those and I've worked those days before for TV, and it's like when the teams that you want work like at the very, very end, you know, and you're close to the deadline, you got to edit all that video and you got to make your packages and you got to get your B-roll. It's tough. It's a tough sled.
Isn't that what they do for a living, though?
I know, but it's still tough. It's still difficult.
Oh, man, I see all the sports guys and gals in this town when they go to work.
Just like the coal mines of West Virginia.
I'm like in awe, yes.
Is that what you compare the television
feet are just bleeding
to? The coal mines of West Virginia?
I think you're opposed to hard work.
I'm not opposed to hard work at all. I'm not opposed to it. I'm just willing to
have a drink.
I'm willing to admit and willing to give them credit when hard work is hard work. I'm a great analyzer of hard work.
They're pros. They live for this moment. What do you guys think? So if we had back in the day, and this is not just a Rosenblatt thing, so get off. This is formerly at the TDA and the Chuck. When you used to have to line up for GA when it was not purchased seats.
Sure.
So LSU Arkansas, which is a hot ticket, I've seen $750 for a really good seat on Saturday night. Just be patient, Grasshopper. They're going to come down a little bit. But
they already have.
When do you think the line for GA just for the LSU Arkansas game would have begun if we were back in the day?
12 p.m.
Like a couple of days ago, or?
Oh, really?
I mean, it's a hot ticket. It's LSU Arkansas. I mean, it's the game. It's the game that got the slot.
Fun would be had.
I mean, what would be the longest you would ever wait for like a GA ticket?
Well, the longest I ever camped out for something was a Star Wars ticket, and that was like 4 hours. But ironically, speaking about camping out for GA at Rosenblatt, Nebraska's first appearance in the College World Series in 2000, it was Tuesday that the line that people started to show up to camp out so they could get the GA ticket for the Nebraska Cal State Fullerton game.
Tuesday, and the game was on Friday.
And they played Friday. They played the second game on Friday after Tulane.
And you
Stanford.
you couldn't get the GA ticket until that day. I take it until
that session. But you just wanted the Nebraska game.
That is crazy.
And so Nebraska won the Super against Rice on a Saturday. Tuesday, there were people at Rosenblatt that were lined up, and I think by Thursday, the line had started to snake down the hill just for the Nebraska game.
Probably stunk too.
Yeah, warm. I think the longest I would ever wait for anything would be like 6 hours, 7 hours.
Well, that is
incredible.
But it was like one of the unique things about the College World Series is that GA was general admission. I mean, and you would wait in line. You'd also have the ticket books, and now the revenue has gone up because it's not a cheap ticket out there, but they do a little tiered pricing depending on later in the week and the time, what game is being played. But it was one of the unique things about the challenge of, I'm going to go, once the game's over, this game's over, I'm running right back out. I'm going to get in line for the next game to be in the GA because that's where I wanted to be. Now they're fixed seats. And people would a couple of days. But I imagine LSU, Arkansas, the passion of those fans, if you challenged them and said, you got to get to Omaha because you got to get in line for that game because, man, you do not want to be. There would be people probably today would be
starting to line up.
Yeah, would be lined up across from Lot D right along the fence just for that game.
I wish it was easier sometimes so we're all digital now, but I do kind of miss the aura of a bunch of people standing outside the stadium holding up paper tickets and being like,
standing at the mall.
Hey, we got a ticket, two tickets here or whatever. Like, now, I know some of them were scalpers, and I know some of them weren't doing, like, the greatest things. But I do kind of miss, like, that was the ballpark feel, in a way. Like, that, it was like you knew you were at the ballpark because you just parked your car, and a guy just walked up to you and was like, do you need 2 tickets? You need 2 tickets? You buying tickets? You selling tickets? Like, that was, like, a part of the baseball experience. And
I think
now
it was
we're
part
all
of. I
on
think
our
it was
phone.
part of like the sports experience where we don't have paper tickets.
No,
in most places,
and like collecting paper. Because I didn't
You're
grow
right.
up in
Now
the era
sucks.
where everything was paper tickets. Like by the time I was like 15, we were done. We were really done with the paper tickets. But I would have been the guy who collected all of those tickets, who got those tickets signed, who had like that little like glove box.
I've done that.
Like I think
I've
that's
done that
so
for
cool.
Nebraska football tickets. I've wanted because I collect programs
Yeah.
and tickets, so you do have that option to get the physical ticket.
Yeah.
I think they sell like souvenir College World Series tickets, but you're right. The scalping stuff, like I can't wait to see Showtime. There's other guys that I know that are scalpers and what they're doing to navigate. I will ask them how they're doing in this day and age of having digital tickets, and you got to transfer them. So you have to exchange more information with the person that's buying them.
You have to exchange emails, which is like kind of a really weird thing to do, like in the heat of the moment.
Or in a cashless society, because the ballpark is cashless.
Yeah.
You got a Venmo.
Yeah.
It gets a little bit tricky.
So I won a raffle to the Shane Gillis concert, and I couldn't use my tickets because I was using the tickets that I won in the raffle. And I was sitting there thinking like, oh, man, I want to sell the tickets that I bought. How the hell do I do it? Do I just wave my phone in the air? Hey, anybody need one?
Need one, got one. They're still in Lincoln, though. I mean, last football season, still lined up on your walk into the stadium. Speaking of that stadium, as I peruse now every single recruit picture that's been on campus, and it is this time of the year, and we're going to break the seal. Ready?
Go ahead.
It's June 12th. How come nobody has talked about alternate uniforms?
Beats me.
So I'm going to talk about an alternate uniform for Nebraska football.
Give me an idea.
On a side note, hold on. Do you guys think I'm weird? Dookie Clint, friend of mine.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's like making fun of me or he's asking a question.
Kind of.
He said, "Do you really collect football programs?"
I collect football programs.
Yes, I have.
It used to be a thing.
And now remember, there was about a 10-year stretch where I was not living here.
Yeah.
And so it took me about 7 years to track down the programs that I missed. I have every media guide from Nebraska football from 1989 to now, and I have every home football program except for 5 from when I started in 1994 to this year. There's 5 or 6 games. I have a list that I do not have. That I mean, I even went to Sports Information. I went down to Keith and I said, "Hey, you guys don't
reprint?"
Well, no, I like. Do you guys have in a back room?
Yeah.
Like I've asked Mike Babcock, and so I know I collect. I collect the football programs, and Nebraska is still one of those places that produces a football program.
What was the hardest one for you to go back and find?
Well, now most of those games I was at, so I was able to pick up a program.
But in that 10-year stretch where you had to make up in 7 years, what do you think was
07, I struggled to find a lot of the programs.
Some people will tell you that's a good thing.
Yeah, I ended up getting a couple of them from actually the archives at Nebraska.
Really?
Yeah,
that's incredible, Gary. I have every program from the games that
the Oklahoma State game. Take as many as you want.
So I don't have like 12 programs from the last 4 years. I have about like 6 programs. And my mother was cleaning out my room when I was moving out. And she found all of these books. And she was like, what the hell is this? Like, why do you have all these? Like, what are you going to do with them? I'm like, are you going to read them? I go, no. Like, I just have them. Like, so the 100th year, the 100th anniversary of Memorial Stadium, that program, Nebraska played Northwestern that game. I think it is the coolest program that I currently have. I gifted it to my dad for Christmas. I gave it because he went to Northwestern, an alumni. One of the best gifts I ever given him was a Nebraska football program.
Oh, until you give him a grandson.
Okay. Well, he's getting a granddaughter in 3 days. So
good for you.
Not me, brother.
No,
16, so 20, the baby.
Clint follows up. He says not making fun. That's good because I was going to Clint and Sarah out. He said his boss, who I will leave out his name, but is well known in town, has a collection in our office. Ooh, I wonder if I could go to their office with my list of programs that I have not been able to find. Maybe do a deal.
Do a deal. Or I think you should just ask him, hey, where did you get yours?
No, because his boss, Paul, is a collector.
Are you going to do I'll show
big
you.
Husker fan.
Are you going to go, I'll show you mine if you show me yours?
I don't think to another grown man I'm going to do that.
You can't do that anymore.
I'm way past even entertaining that.
I've held all the programs ever in Nebraska football history, except that one.
I love my football collection. The media guides one are the one that I get the most giddy about. Because the size of the media guide has changed. Well, they used to be.
Oh yeah, they used to be like 1,000 pages long.
Really? But they used to be smaller, like a little
booklet,
like a notebook. Yeah. And then they got larger, and then they've had to, because there were these stupid archaic rules. I don't know what 15 years ago about the size and what you could and couldn't put in them, that they got smaller.
Why are there rules and regulations over media guides?
Oh, I still have a Missouri media guide from the mid 2000s. It was quite elaborate.
Well, there was a lot of stuff that was taken out of the media guide, like records and stuff, when they had to downsize because the NCAA. Remember, we're talking about an organization that dinged Eric Crouch for a ham sandwich. Yeah. For God's sake, I saw
that tweet yesterday.
All that sodium.
Jake writes into the Equitable Bank inbox where you can as well. Gary at 1620thezone.com or Matt at 1620thezone.com, Equitable Bank, where they take banking personally. Hello, old man Doug. Jake says about the alternate uniforms, I feel like after the blue outline alternates, rules said they weren't doing any for a few years.
Okay.
So
I liked them. I might be in the minority. I was a fan of them. I also liked the blue gloves. I thought the blue gloves were a very nice touch. I was a part of the radical camp that wanted them to just wear blue. Like, I wanted them to just wear a blue jersey. I know I'm probably a lot of people against me. They think I'm crazy, but it would have been cool. It would have been weird. I'm still on, and you'll never, and I've told you this the second I met you, I'm still on the Wrigley, the Cubs having green jerseys for the Ivy. I will never get off of that. I want the Cubs to have, at one point in my life, a green jersey, a little bit like the Colorado City Connect green jersey.
Wow.
That's what I want. If they had a green jersey, I would buy it.
I would just like them not to go 4-5 on their next road trip. That's all. And basically boot yesterday's game to say, yeah, we're good. Worst game I watched all year was yesterday. Okay. No.
Why?
No.
It's fun.
I would rather have them bring back the Rick Russell, Dave Kingman jerseys of the 80s of the blue pinstripes. I would love that. But so I'm with Jake here about rule and the alternate uniform, but I'm going to give you a little bit of a twist here. Now, remember, you probably know where I'm going. I've looked at a lot of recruit pictures this week.
You sicko.
Well, I'm curious.
I know what you're talking.
I'm curious because I do think
you've been saying this.
I think you got to be up to date on when kids start committing, like they will here shortly. What if Nebraska's next alternate uniform isn't technically an alternate uniform? Again, you guys know where I'm going here about recruits. And it's all red. Because you know that's coming. So Dannon wakes up and he looks at his lovely wife next to him and he says, all I do is I see red, hun. And then he gets up and he walks into his bathroom and it's like Cosmo Kramer with the chicken.
You think what?
Chicken.
What?
Kenny Rogers chicken.
What?
Remember the sign from Kenny Rogers chicken? Okay.
I think that's
not Seinfeld.
No.
So Jimmy, you remember this, right?
Yes.
And it was that's all red. So Dannon walks into his bathroom
and
it's
stubs his toe.
It's all red. So Dannon wants more red. Recruits they love the red. They take their pictures. I think we're getting closer to having an anniversary of the debacle in '86 when Nebraska wore all red at home. But if they're going to do it, and I might be okay for it, and I'm one of those that I think Nebraska has one of the best looking college football home uniforms. It's nice and crisp. Don't ever touch the helmet. I would like the little smaller end to come back and the cream helmet, not the full pearl. But if you're going to do the red on red, the red has to match the red. Okay, because there are times where there are pictures that are taken where the red is a little bit off. Different red. That's all I ask.
They'll get it right.
Okay.
How about you go?
They'll get it right.
How about you go black on black, and then they become camouflage in the new black sidelines?
I thought you were going to suggest a game they do it in.
Or how about they go red on red?
Because that's where my mind goes. What game could it be?
They go red on red, and they do what your team did, and Eckler has one of the guys lay down in the end zone, and blend into the end zone, and then they flip it back across
There's
the
a
field,
15-yard
and then
penalty.
they run down. How about that? That'd be fun.
Just doing the sideline that day.
How about we
Like,
just
what the hell just happened?
How about we
Back
just go
to you.
Boise State at this point, and we just make the entire turf red? Just go red turf.
No.
Why? All I see is red, baby. And then you put
End zones do pop.
and then you put a skinny white end in the middle.
Do you like the skinny end?
Little slim thick.
That'll warm your cockles. That warms your cockles more than anything else. When we talk about the
they
skinny end.
they changed the end on the helmet a little bit. So
did they change it? Really?
Yeah, it's a little bit different. But the bigger one is Nebraska's helmets used to be like a cream. Now they're a lot whiter. Well, because of the technology of the helmet, the way it's built.
Yeah.
But it used to be a cream.
You can see Eric Crouch in the cream helmet.
There was another flurry of recruit pictures yesterday, and they're all in red. So red on red. And now you got Dannon talking about red.
Give Adidas a break.
Just don't when you do it, don't promote. Let's red out the world. We retired that. One of the low points in this century of Nebraska football. A high point happened when we come back. We'll talk some College World Series because we have a question for the younger set on the show that'll be in the entertainment area of the College World Series.
Yes, I will be, baby.
We'll do that when we come back. Plus, we'll get you an update on the leaderboard that has Rory McIlroy with Mr. Oberg tied for second, a shot back, along with Gary Woodland. He loves him some U.S. Open. Kansas Jayhawk, Jimmy.
Yes, we went to the same school. Shout out Alumni Association.
We're back with more after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, good morning. Where Aaron Judge is on pace to hit 61 home runs, drive in 145 runs, and hit about 370. He's hitting 394 as the Yanks try and win their 8th in a row against the Royals today. As Judge has hit a home run in both games. So good morning to all Aaron Judge lovers out there. He is an absolute freak.
All 20 of you.
Quick update from Oakmont. Trevor Gachetsky, he bogeyed the first hole.
Okay.
JJ Spahn and Rory McIlroy both are 2 under through 2. That's the latest update at Oakmont. Into the Equitable Bank inbox, yes?
Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say Rory just birdied on a great putt we were both watching. But yes, into the inbox.
Zach writes in, I'd like to see a script Husker on one side of the helmet and a Herbie Husker on the other side.
No, I'm okay. Don't change the helmets.
Well, if they do the helmets are an alternate uniform, that might be considered.
Having a Herbie on an alternate uniform?
Yes, like there's when they've worn their alternate uniform, they've also had a different helmet. I'd actually, what I'd really like to see, remember the Oklahoma game in 21 in Norman when they went back to the gray face masks? Mm-hmm. I wish they would have kept that around. I know it was a little bit of a throwback, but I wish they would have. That would have been a really good look.
I'm not a gray color guy on any of my jerseys.
You're a bright guy.
So he's out on Seattle.
Minus like your classic baseball jerseys. But I don't think that as like gray. I just think that as like a road baseball jersey. Like it's a different color. Like it's a different style. But like we're talking like basketball. Like the Cleveland Cavaliers had those like gray and yellow jerseys that they would wear. It was at the end. It was like 2000. It was like 2019 Cleveland Cavaliers. They would have these gray jerseys.
Just thinking of a yolk and a hard-boiled egg.
I hated them. Same thing. You know how I feel about the Nebraska baseball jerseys, and like how those are made, because those aren't made as regular grays. Those are made as like weird, sleeved like grays. Not a fan.
Well, when they had the sleeveless, they were playing in the College World Series.
Sleeveless jersey. Why did we go away from the sleeveless jerseys? Like the Colorado Rockies, that's what the Rockies need to do.
I don't know. Probably
among many others.
Ask fanatics. So
when the White Sox won their World Series, they had sleeveless jerseys. Just saying.
So with the College World Series kicking off tomorrow, again, today is Allen Iverson Day, with a practice. Go and find the Ryan McGee 10-minute love story about the College World Series, Omaha, and our good friend, Greg Pivovar, and his stadium card store that is still across the street from Rosenblatt that I like to stop in. I know it gets a lot of foot traffic this time of the year from people, and that's great because I don't ever want to see that go away. But, man, sometimes in the offseason when you stop in there, and he's of course, Steve's brother, and that family is fantastic. But it's a love story to the event, but more to the city of Omaha from Ryan McGee, who is from ESPN. Everybody knows Ryan. He's a frequent guest on this radio station. It is fabulous. So with that said, this is the 75th anniversary. We had a question come up, and they directed it to you. I'm not sure why they did not email it to you.
Oh, okay.
Are there bars that are still charging covers around the College World Series?
Even before the College World Series, there was.
Are there really
charging covers? Oh yeah,
outside of the Capital District, because there's a couple of places at 10 o'clock.
So
we'll start charging a cover at the Capital District.
So at the Capital District is where they were charging covers. It was
$15
unless you were going.
$15.
So, but the catch is that there are like multiple bars that you could get into when you pay the cover. So you could get into 3 bars for $15. So really, you're just paying $5 a cover for every bar. Or you could just go into one bar, stay in that bar, and not have to pay the cover.
So they're trying to keep the riffraff out of the Capital District, which can get a little like the crowd that is in there before 10 and after 10 is completely different.
Yes.
$15?
It was $15. So we walked upstairs.
But there can't be any other bars around the College World Series that are. If you go over to Cross Train, my guy Doug ain't charging no cover to get into that place.
I've never had to pay a cover for Rocco's, and I've never had to pay a cover for Lefties. And those are probably like the 2 more frequented bars around that area. Now,
there can't be any places that are charging a cover still.
Well, doesn't OBV charge a cover like after a certain time when you walk in? Anna.
Whoa.
I think your coworkers are just having some fun with you.
No, because
Did you have to pay a zone
I'm
employee?
being serious here. So
I don't think that's the case. Like like at night for the concert post game.
her dad did a great. No, it was Anna.
Oh my God.
And
Would you like to know Anna's last name?
it's Bellinghausen, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Former Maverick student athlete.
yes.
And
She.
Omaha media personality
I'm
of
trying-
the year from the Oscars.
I was trying to find the video. I think it's on Instagram. I don't know if it's on Twitter, but she actually did a very nice video of like breaking down the nightlife of the College World Series in the Omaha Baseball Village.
They
and
got some overrated places they mentioned, but
and like
I'm
what you need to do.
I'm an Omahan speaking, so.
And she mentioned though that there is like you have to pay a cover after like a certain point.
I think
We're
we
in
need to
the
put a
OPE.
camera on
I'm
you.
pretty sure. Yeah, I'm almost positive that's what. Like, if you get there too late, you have to pay a cover.
All right, so Jared, roll the dice. Here's where you don't need to roll the dice.
Say hi to Matt.
And don't. I'm going to give you a little tip. I'm going to give you a little tip here.
I would love your tips.
It doesn't affect you.
Okay.
To help you get in and out of the stadium quicker, but basically in. Don't tell everybody. Keep this to yourself. It's just between us and the 4 people that listen to the show, including my dad's new wife. Gate 4 is your friend.
Okay.
Just remember that gate 4. Not going to describe where it's at, but gate 4.
I do remember you telling me this.
Is your friend. Okay, that's where us Omahans. If you know, you know. Gate 4 is your friend. Okay. With that said, 75th anniversary of the College World Series. There have been so many great moments. I almost sense that the hearkening back to Rosenblatt isn't as strong in the last couple of years. So we've kind of come to the conclusion that Rosenblatt's not coming back. So we went from having a county fair to a state fair.
Yeah.
Okay. We went from neighborhood to corporate. But we always got knocked on the show. Jimmy knows this a little bit. We always got knocked on the show because all you guys talk about is the time at Rosenblatt. I was like, well, you know what? We had a love story with Rosenblatt. And there'll be nothing like it. And you know what? If you grew up in South Omaha, it will always be something special. Times change. I get it. So that for us Omahans and for College World Series fans that have been longtime fans, that is nostalgic. But we've made the transition that we drive downtown instead of driving to the zoo. I just don't sense like the last couple of years that people are like, series sucks. I want Rosenblatt back. I'll do whatever to get Rosenblatt back. So that's at least a nice thing. Now we're at the 75th anniversary, which has included time downtown and time at Rosenblatt. How come they're not doing like the 70? So there'll only be 74 because I think the number one play is the Warren Morris walk-off to win the national championship. They made a statue. Did you know that?
I do.
You know that?
I do know that.
They're so big they made a statue.
We're watching the game live.
How come they've not done like the 75 greatest plays in the history of the College World Series?
I think that would be an incredible like Nebraska public media, or ESPN. Put on ESPN2. Run it from like 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock before like you have any like other sort of sports that you're playing,
I think
before
you might have to
NFL
go a
Live.
little bit longer.
Yeah.
Sneak in 75
It'd
in
be
an
like,
hour.
how do you probably like what, a 3-hour special?
Well, I'm like surprised we now have like a contest for people to nominate or like a list of the CWS knowers. So I've got 2 for you. Ready?
Okay.
Two that involve local.
Okay.
So Creighton was here in 1991. Is the top moment, and this actually might be one of the top 75 moments. Yes. Mike says, what about Wichita State, Miami, and the hidden ball? Yes, that would be in the top 75. Hell, that might be in the top 5. I think this play that Creighton in the College World Series is most known for has to be top 75. 1991. Remember it?
No, I was not alive. I wasn't even a thought in anybody's head.
So Steve, God, what was this? Steve Bruns.
Okay.
Yeah. Comes in. Let me double check. It's either Bruns or Burns. I think it's Bruns. Yeah, Steve Bruns. So Steve Bruns, it's the bottom of the 12th inning. Wichita State and Creighton are playing.
Oh, wow.
Bottom of the 12th. Bruns comes in to run at second base. Dax Jones is at the plate. Dax Jones hits a ball to center field. Jim Odley, the center fielder of Wichita State, who before Dax Jones came to the plate, had backed up. So they were playing deep. They were playing almost the warning track at Old Rosenblatt when the dimensions were 420 to center field.
Jeez.
Well, you also had gorilla ball. So
okay.
You had to have
have a deep fence. Okay.
So he backs up, and Dax Jones hits a liner to straightaway center field. Steve Bruns is rounding third, and oddly comes up and throws a one-hopper to Doug Mirabelli, who was the catcher for Wichita State, applies the tag. Wichita State goes on to win 3-2 in 12 innings. I think it's a top 75 play. I know it's not a great memory for Creighton, but it was an incredible play that preserved Wichita State, and Wichita State, did Wichita State things the rest of that series. Now, Nebraska, with their 3 trips, and there's some Jim Rose hyperbole here, is the Andy Gertch home run against Arizona State, the 3-run shot in 05.
So
the greatest Nebraska College World Series moment.
That was surfacing on Twitter yesterday. I would say so, just because the emotion of that crowd. Like that's the thing about, I think, what would give that moment an advantage is because that place is full with red and absolutely going bonkers. And I imagine that
game was not sold out, by the way.
Really?
Mm-hmm. There was 25,000, but if you look in the outfield,
there were some empty seats.
There were empty seats in the old.
Was there a specific reason for that?
Outfield seating? I don't know.
Oh, okay, I thought there might have been like a caveat to it, but I would say because of that insane crowd reaction and who the team was and where they were located, I would say so. Would you do top 75 plays, or would you do like top 75 moments?
Moments plays.
Yeah.
I wonder, can we convince, because Jack and Josh are doing their off-season project, the Groin Chronicles?
Kick Chronicles, yes.
I would like Jack Mitchell
to
do that game. The 05 College World Series game between Nebraska and Arizona State, which was the biggest roller coaster ride of Nebraska baseball history, of that game, because Nebraska finally got over, like the only 2 years Van Horn came here, they didn't win.
Yeah.
We went 2 in the queue. But in 05, they won a game, and that was a really, really good 05 team that Nebraska baseball had. And then that game, which was just back and forth and the emotions, and it was the day game, and it was hotter than but to lose that game. So you have the Andy Gertch moment and the story behind Andy Gertch of what had gone on off the field in his personal life, in his family life. And then you get Arizona State winning that game. That would be, I'm gonna see if Jack and Josh will do that game.
I think Jack and Josh
Kick Chronicles
can do this for basketball, or can do it for like all sports. Like they could do volumes in terms of the Groin Kick Chronicles, like in terms of the sports that they've watched and the history that they know and like the things that they've experienced. Some of those tweets, though, that Jack Mitchell has from those games are hysterical. They're absolutely hysterical. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to watch that.
I'm glad you're excited.
It'll be fun. It's a fun project.
It sounds fun, but they should do that baseball game.
I totally agree.
Since we're 20 years ago.
Time flies by.
Yep. All right, 2 in the books, 2 to go. We'll get you an update where Rory McIlroy is having a good day so far at Oakmont. DeChambeau, not so much. On 1620 The Zone. All right, happy Thursday, Gary and Matt with Jimmy. I've touched the third rail with some people on the 20th anniversary of the best moment in Nebraska College World Series history. Chris tweets, what I'll always remember from that 05 Arizona State College World Series loss was Jim Rose's call on the radio calling Andy's home run one of the greatest moments in the history of Nebraska athletics.
And then they
thought that was
lost.
A little bit of a stretch, but Jim had a tendency to exaggerate a lot. This is from Craig. So I apologize, Craig.
Oh.
Craig said, I had to pull off the road when you started to talk about the 2005 Arizona State game because to this day, I am still triggered. I bought tickets in the bleachers. He said, you have to remember, for everybody that was in the bleachers, it was hot as, he used the word Hades that day. The game lasted over 4 hours.
Jeez.
He goes on to say, I consider myself a very religious person who does not hate a lot of people. But there is one individual from Arizona State to this day, 20 years later, that I hate and I will always hate, and I hope I never see him in person. His name is Jeff Larish. Have a good day. Which is an enemy to a lot of Nebraska fans because the Arizona State first baseman hit 3 home runs in the game and matched. So Andy Gertch's 3-run homer put Nebraska up. And then Arizona State came back, got to the 11th, and you think, okay, you got Brett Jensen on the mound. You're going to be fine. The closer, yeah.
Do you have a baseball enemy? Do you have like a player that you watched, whether it be when you were a child or when you became older, that you're like, I can't stand them because they always killed my team or they always did something bad to me?
Anybody that was playing for the Cardinals. Like Tommy Hurt was somebody I absolutely hated back in the day.
Daniel Murphy has got to be.
For the Mets?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, even when he became a Cub in 19, for that very brief moment, and by the way, he was terrible, I could not stand Daniel. Or no, it was 2018 he became a Cub. Can't stand to this day Daniel Murphy. That was my first like true baseball heartbreak. And I was at that game where he hit 2 homers. Never live that down.
So I didn't know this until you told me yesterday.
Oh.
Rule was on Jim Rome?
Yeah.
Okay.
So quick.
We still carry Rome over on 1180 from 11-2, correct?
I think so. That's what I was told when I first started working here. I don't think it's changed. Yeah. So real quick. So he was on Jim Rome.
Which he goes on there quite a bit.
I found the clips on Twitter, on Jim Rome's Twitter. There's multiple clips on Twitter. I don't think Jim Rome has a YouTube though, because I was trying to find the full interview on the YouTube. Could not find it.
Don't they didn't he make the transition last fall to streaming on X? Oh, that was a big deal.
Maybe.
Like Jim Rome in our business is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
there is no doubt. That shtick though has kind of run out of gas. The only really time that I listen is when they're doing the smack off. But I think that just like Colin Cowherd, Pat McAfee has sucked the air out of that time.
Oh, time slot?
That time slot by that 11 to 2 time slot in the afternoons. The midday. So McAfee is like number one. People don't, unless he makes something just off the wall. Like I don't run into people that listen to Cowherd as much. And he's really not carried on local radio. Like you got to listen to him on Sirius or you watch his television. He's still on TV on Fox.
Cowherd, unfortunately.
But I think Rome probably in those 3 is probably last, right?
I would say so.
But he's been around. I mean, Romey is a Hall of Famer, and he still loves Bugahaw. But when Rule goes on there, like they didn't promote it
at all.
I didn't see it until after the fact. And then Rule said all the normal things about the fan base and what they're doing here.
Just popped up on my Twitter. It just popped up on Jim Rome interviewing Matt Rule about Dylan Raiola. I think so. Rome actually, by the way, is live on Twitter, and his production is actually quite impressive. I think, unfortunately, when you talk about Cowherd, he's kind of fallen off a little bit in the terms of the fact that Colin I think a couple of years ago, I really enjoyed watching a show. But since the dawn of social media and all the engagement that you can get by saying some quite ridiculous things,
or the Twitter account back after this,
yes, the fact like he's playing into it now. Who plays into it worst is his co-host J-Mac, because J-Mac says some ridiculous things, but J-Mac knows that if he says ridiculous things, it'll pop up on Twitter, and then they play the game like, well, you're watching the show, look at all the engagement we're getting. So unfortunately, I feel like Pat McAfee, in a way, because he has taken so much attention from that, has made those guys get into like engagement farming as opposed to like actual, conversations and whatnot. But
and Cowherd has moved to Chicago.
Yeah, full studio in Chicago.
So the show on TV looks awkward because the lighting is not the same.
It's his studio in LA was perfect. It was like a really, really nice studio. And I'm going to be full transparent with you. I really haven't watched him since he's moved to Chicago because I just haven't really been.
I think McAfee has just taken over, and he's squashed Cowherd and Rome. And whether you like McAfee or not, I think that's the truth, because more people talk about McAfee. Ray says you can listen to the entire interview on Spotify.
Okay.
But it didn't get
it doesn't get promoted at all.
Especially at this radio station, which we're an affiliate, and we're like one of the original affiliates of the Jim Rome Show. Remember, he's changed networks quite a bit over his long Hall of Fame career. Usually they give us a heads up and we promote it. We got nothing. Rule just showed up in the jungle.
Well, it was him and Luke Fickell. And I think Fickell went before Rule.
Wouldn't it be better if it was at the same time?
Well,
what if
Jim was asking Matt Rule questions about Fickell?
What if they had Rule, Fickell, and Dion? So,
oh my God,
2 years ago. Where are we now going into year 3, gentlemen?
What if we had a presidential debate style, but it was those 3 guys? And then they were like, debate who's had the more success for the first 2 years and who's better prepared for the 3rd year. I would love to see that. And Dion versus Rule in a debate, who wins?
It depends on
what the questions are.
Well, it also depends on, is it Coach Prime against Rule?
And not Dion against Rule?
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd probably be
So
Coach
any
Prime.
good things out of Rule's appearance on Rome? All I saw was he talked it's the easy question. Hey, tell me about the fan base. That's like, hey, what? Throw Rule a 16-incher. Okay, he's going to hit out of the park, and he'll tell you why Nebraska fans are the greatest asset that the Nebraska football program has.
As a guy who's been known to throw Coach Rule some 16-inchers before, that is the ultimate 16-incher of like, why is this place so great? Why do you love your fans so much? He did talk about something I did find interesting about Dylan and him being a leader, which I think we've already heard those like buzzwords before, but it made me think about the fact that it probably was incredibly difficult for Dylan last year. And now that we know him more, to like come in and be the starting quarterback, because that team was never really going to be his team. Like he was never going to be like, even though he was the quarterback and he was the starter and he was calling the plays and he was, an integral part of what they were trying to do. That was never going to be his team.
Mm-hmm.
Where that's got to be hard, knowing that the season kind of relies on you, yet you you're on the outside looking in terms of who the leaders are. I've kind of like, I feel like that's got to be an interesting dichotomy where it's like, hey man, this season in some respects are on your shoulders, but you're not looked at as like the top guy.
He was very,
and I think he grew throughout the year.
I think what happened is, I think because he is a different, quirky personality, I think when you're a little bit of an older player and you know about him before you get here and you know that he's got to be good because it helps you be good, I think it takes a little bit to adjust to Dylan's personality, because Dylan is just a very, he's just different, and not in a bad way. Sometimes he's very socially awkward. And I think on a team setting for a freshman coming into, for example, he had a wide receiver room that was, he had 2 guys that bounced around a couple of programs.
Sure.
Or they were in their 2nd program or their 3rd program, and they were older guys, and they were here to get to the NFL. And now you have this freshman quarterback who they expected to walk in the door and make him go, wow.
Yeah.
And partially did, partially didn't. I think I also don't think Nebraska, and this is probably, I think Rule has kind of opened the Komodo a little bit. I think something you're saying, Rule trying to integrate Dylan into the team.
Yeah.
I think they just let Dylan go, and maybe they should have walked Dylan through it. And it maybe it would have been better if Dylan would have had a quiet spring before his first year. Like, he didn't make any wow plays. He was just there. Yeah, because then the hype train started, and then the personality, and and there were probably some guys that are like, man, I got to see you do it on the field. I don't know. It was good to get the first year out of the way that he played. Because if you would have redshirted and now you've got that, it would have been an adjustment. So I think I think Rule knows Dylan better, and he knows his team better, and so he can combine those together, and he can let Dylan do Dylan things they're better. Where last year he probably needed a heavy-handed offensive coordinator to go along with a head coach.
Yeah.
That are like, okay, we understand you're 18 years old, you've done all this stuff. This is a different world.
Yes.
Okay, we're making a big jump here. We're going to help you instead of we're going to watch and see what you do, and then we'll say, hey, maybe you should do this.
Isn't it looking at things through two different lenses in a way? Because Dylan's a hype beast, all right? That's what my generation would call him, right? All of the trends, the satchel, the turtlenecks, the chains, the watches, he wears them, he likes them. That's what we would distinguish him. It's not an insult, but that's just how he is. He's a trendy guy. When he's wearing a satchel now, right? Okay. It's looked at in a way a little cool, right? Oh, Dylan wearing a satchel. Like, oh, it's trendy. Like, that's the quarterback. That's the guy, right? Because he's now becoming a leader, and this is in a way, in a certain way, his team, right? But last year, with all the veterans that you have, that freshman quarterback walks in with a satchel, you're going to have some guys look at him and be like, really? Like, okay, that's interesting, right? It's not as cool when you're just the freshman quarterback on a team full of veterans to now it's kind of cool because you are the leader. It is your team, and you're being different.
Do you think there's another element here of he's taking over this year for himself?
Yes.
Because Heinrich Harburg is extremely popular. Extremely popular.
Very much so.
And all of a sudden, a new guy comes in, and the really popular guy all of a sudden is out. And I think guys are like, well, he's not exactly what we need at quarterback, but man, he took one for the team in 23. And so the respect level that Harburg had on that roster grew immensely. And now all of a sudden, man, Harburg's on the sidelines holding a clipboard or on a headset, and this guy's out here playing, and boy, that guy better be just balls to the wall. I think that's part of this year, makes it easier. Dylan's replacing Dylan of last year, not Dylan replacing a guy who was extremely popular.
If you're a guy grinding it out, trying to make it to the bowl game for the first time in 7 seasons, and then all the attention is on this one guy, on this freshman, and you're trying to set a culture, and maybe there are just let me take that back. Let me backtrack a little bit. But I think that Dylan being as popular and getting as much attention as he did and not being the leader of the team made it more difficult for him to come into that locker room. And I think just because now that we are setting a standard of, and he, credit to himself, right, and credit to Rule for mitigating this and propelling it, it has put him in the better position for this season, because you don't have Isaac Gifford at a Big Ten media day and they ask him like, oh, who's got the, they ask him a certain question. He goes, I don't want to give the young man too much credit. Like there was kind of that relationship of like, we're a senior and you're still a freshman, which that's football.
Yeah.
Like that's supposed to exist. But at the same time, I think it's a really weird relationship when that freshman has the most important job and is the most important player on the team and is the most covered guy on the team. And it's like, I'm sure.
Yeah, but that goes with the territory. You're the quarterback in Nebraska. You're going to get the most pub. There's good and bad about it.
But I do think
and if you're turned off by it, then you know what? Go do your job. Go any college football program. We're talking about the quarterback all the time.
But I think that if Dylan walked into a locker room last year that was more full of like sophomores and juniors and not so much fifth-year seniors and guys who have been living and dying with the program, trying to accomplish something they haven't been able to accomplish, and everybody's hanging it over them that they haven't accomplished that. If he came into a younger room, I do think it would have been maybe an easier season, maybe an easier transition. Maybe there's not as much pressure. He's going to have to live with pressure if he's going to be the guy that he's going to become.
Yeah, possibly. I keep saying that it's the last year is going to turn out to be one of the best things that happened to Nebraska football. I always focus on the UCLA game, maybe the whole year of it, the transition from high school star to playing on a 7-5 team. It wasn't, there were ups and downs, and that's going to make it better. There's another part of this discussion, though, that at the end of the day, it's all about football. There are guys that know after being with him through spring that he clearly is a better player than he was last year at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And that goes a long way. So you don't have any doubt. Kid might be quirky. You might not know him very well, but you know that you're going to have to rely on him. And I think guys that competed against him in the spring were like, yeah, he's a baller. Okay. That's clear. And he's by far the best quarterback in that room, which also goes a long way.
And I think him flying the guys out and the wide receivers out, it's one of those little things. But
he did it last year.
But I think him doing it again this year is it's a little thing that is a big thing. Because that's what, hey, this is my team. That's what a guy like that does.
Yes. And on the heels of that, add another thing. I think there's a transition because Nebraska has a guy that wants to play in the NFL, and he is a brand that they are cultivating for the NFL.
Sure.
Nebraska's had, like Adrian wanted to play in the NFL. Tanner Lee wanted to play in the NFL. Everybody comes here, they want to play in the NFL. This is the first legit time where Nebraska has a brand quarterback that it's a business to get him to the NFL. And I think that takes a little bit to adjust to, because that's exactly what Nebraska has.
I think I was about to say, when you were saying that, I don't think you can walk in as a freshman into that veteran of a locker room with a lot of shoulders on you, and you're a brand guy. You're about your brand.
Well, you've never had that kind of thing has never walked into that locker room.
You got to be a team guy. And now though, that old guard is gone, and he is trying to elevate himself as a leader, everyone, I think, respects that, hey, this is a brand game now. But that wasn't, I don't think that was as taken aback or taken in from last season.
JJ Spawn, who is Warren Spawn's son. I tried, Jimmy. They're spelled differently. He is 3 under through 7, one shot lead over Gary Woodland.
Is this course a paper tiger?
McElroy. Oh, I think it's better to play during the day or during the morning.
Yeah.
I think the course will get a little bit tougher. But they're coming up. The leaders are coming up on a stretch of really tough holes. And
Clark in second, Woodland in third, McElroy in fourth right
now. Okay. I was just looking at the live coverage. They got McElroy in second.
Oh.
Because he just took a shot.
Yeah.
All right. Steve Sybil coming up an hour on 1620 The Zone. You guys think that Rick Carlisle, who put on a master class last night and is getting his due as one of the best coaches in the game of basketball,
he will after he wins this championship,
is related to Jim Carrey?
He's related to Jim Carrey?
Does he look like it?
No, not at all. They look like they're both
You don't
white.
think so?
I remember this from 2011.
No, they one is fat and short, one is bigger and short and has lost a little weight, and the other one's pretty tall.
One of them played in the NBA.
Hold on here. Say that again?
Jim Carrey.
Okay, Jim Carrey.
Oh my God. Wait. I'm thinking of someone else. No. Sorry.
Shane Gillis?
No.
Okay.
No.
It's Post Malone, not Karl Malone.
Wait.
So
I was thinking of The Price is Right host.
Bob Barker?
Drew Carey. I was thinking of Drew Carey. I got him mixed up. All right. Sorry.
He once had his own show.
All right. On that note, I noticed that Mark Daigneault was being shown a little bit more on TV last night. Maybe because the mismatch was pretty prevalent. And people should ask the question today on the Talking Heads. I'm sure Kendrick Perkins, who states the obvious all the time, will ask, why is Hartenstein not in the rotation? Why did you take him out? That would be, as a ball knower, a question I would ask.
Jim Carrey and Rick Carlisle look very similar.
Yes, when you were confused and were telling me about a fat guy losing weight, I don't know that Jim Carrey, outside of maybe a role here or there, has really ever been.
He's usually
fat.
been in pretty good shape.
So Jim Carrey has a
we
role.
ever see Jim Carrey? He was at the Saturday Night Live 50, but other than that,
Yeah,
well, he had a role in Sonic,
Okay.
The Hedgehog, where he went bald, and bald Jim.
The
Carrey,
other guy played against the Sonics.
The bald Jim Carrey looks a little bit like Rick Carlisle, minus like the massive mustache that he has in the movie. They look very similar to one
another. Pacers are up 2-1, game 4. I'm sure Caitlin Clark, who's not playing and is tearing down the WNBA by her absence,
league's full.
Will be there again. Hey, there is no other athlete in my lifetime that I can recall that their absence affects ratings when they are at the peak of their career, like Caitlin Clark and Tiger Woods.
Like Michael Jordan.
In my lifetime, I agree.
Because they are down 50%. The TV ratings for the WNBA since Caitlin Clark got injured is not playing. The Indiana Fever games are down 53%. And if I had tickets, like I spent money, the only time the Fever are coming to my town and she's not playing, like she could never load manage, but she is like legitimately hurt. I would be like crushed. How do you explain that to your kids?
Marcin Gortat isn't
just
carrying
like
the league.
LeBron.
Hey, but the sport, if you are predicated on one athlete and her absence does that to your TV ratings,
incredible.
There's a good and the bad, but damn, 50% the WNBA ratings are down.
I tried watching the New York Liberty play the Chicago Sky, and it took me about 4 minutes into the game to realize that the Chicago Sky is just aren't good at basketball. They are not.
And then Haley Van Lith Vandersloot is out for the
tore
year.
ACL.
Yeah.
Absolute legend, CVS. But like the New York Liberty, from a basketball, it's good basketball. Like I can watch the New York Liberty play basketball any day of the week.
Sabrina, yeah,
and Stewart, Breonna Stewart, like absolutely incredible. But like the Chicago Sky, it really just is the product. It's no offense to any of the players. It's just it's just not fun basketball to watch. It's not good basketball to watch. The Liberty though, I enjoy watching that game. Their games. When they played the Fever about what was that, 3 weeks ago, and they ended up winning because Caitlin Clark didn't get that foul call. That was a great basketball game.
You might go back to something you said before the break about Oakmont.
Yeah.
Okay. This course is not what it used to be. They got to roll it back. I would call timeout. JJ Spawn is 4 deep. So through 8 holes, his over-under for round 1 is now at 68.5.
Jeez.
So this course is supposed to be the most difficult in golf history. They should flood the golf course. Okay, whatever they got to do.
They got to quadruple roll the greens right now.
This thing is now a letdown. Scheffler should just stay at home. in the Airbnb there on the north side of Pittsburgh, or you might be in the Strip District, just stay home because the course is, they're treating this course like it is Jack's tournament at the Memorial, okay? I'm very disappointed now. Also, I'm disappointed.
In me?
No. Did you notice the renderings from the Creighton softball baseball announcement yesterday? So the softball is basically done. They're breaking ground on baseball. Did you notice something specific about them that's going to trigger the I love Rosenblatt, hate the downtown day trader?
No, I did not.
Which way are both ballparks or the baseball?
They're facing away from the Omaha, from the downtown area.
Mm-hmm. So the baseball, the unique thing about the baseball is it is configured exactly like the Chuck. So teams are going to come practice there. Actually, Creighton will still play their games at the Chuck because they got a terrible lease and it's ridiculous they can't get out of it because playing on campus in a more intimate setting would be beneficial for Creighton, but they got a long-time lease. But it will benefit Creighton as well because the dimensions are exactly the same. The wind, the way the ballpark faces. So when College World Series teams come to town, instead of being over in my neighborhood, because Arizona was there yesterday at Tal Anderson, they're going to go there and practice. So it is exactly the same. It's just
it doesn't face the city.
It does. It's not. It's the same because it faces the same way that the Chuck faces.
It's cool if it faces the city.
But we are held hostage by the NCAA. It's never leaving.
Oh, how high are these nets going to have to be to stop a family of 4 from getting pelted on coming? Like, they're going to, it's going to be a pretty high net. They're going to have to attach them to the light poles.
In there.
Hey, some of the people that I see walking on coming, they deserve to get hit by a projectile.
I'm just saying. I was on coming yesterday. It's not like there's no cars on that road. There is a lot of cars that are consistently driving on that road. Like, it's almost as if, like, Waveland was like Michigan Avenue.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we're gonna have all these people in all these stores. Oh, and by the way, look up. Because even if like you put the nets as high as they possibly can go, one day there's gonna be a guy who absolutely hammers a ball that just gets out of there.
Yeah, just look at old Buck Belcher Field, Jed Dalton, on the street that used to go behind Buck Belcher. One day you're just gonna break a window out a home run.
I can't believe it's not facing the city. I understand it's a practice field, okay?
Well, it's College World Series practice field. But that was after we were talking in the crossover about the awkward shoveling dirt ceremony. When I looked closer at the renderings, I'm like, yeah, we got 2 ballparks that do not look into downtown Omaha. So Mutual of Omaha is going to be pissed.
They are.
They're building this skyscraper so that stadiums can look at them.
And stadiums are going to be able to see them.
I want to be seen in the light. You know what? Sometimes you want to look at me in the dark, but this is meant to be seen in the light.
What movie?
That's what the Mutual of Omaha movie is going to, or the Mutual of Omaha building is going to say.
Why did the Mutual of Omaha build the building?
HBO series.
To HBO series.
Hung.
Oh, never heard of it.
Shock.
Hung?
Never heard of it.
What is that about? What is
hanging up like picture frames and stuff, and you kind of get the little machine that looks for the stud.
The air bubble?
Yeah.
I've become good at hanging up things.
You should maybe take some time and then get to understand Ray Drecker's life from Hung.
I have no interest. I'm watching Dune right now, though.
Okay.
Big fan. House Atreides.
I think you would enjoy Hung. It's just Ray has got an upside down life. He's underpaid, underappreciated middle-aged high school teacher. He's a basketball coach. His wife of 20 years left him. He's got these twin children who, you don't know what day of the week, whatever they're doing. I think you would. I think you would find it interesting.
Is that the John Hamm one? Did you see that one about on Apple TV where the dude is rich and he's now robbing places? Have you seen that?
Yeah, Hung and that one are
very different.
Little bit different.
Little bit different.
Little bit different.
You guys could have like
Have you
family
seen The Accountant yet?
watch along.
I have not.
Can you please see The Accountant so we can talk about it?
I've been kind of busy. We just got to get through the College World Series.
Look, you know me. I don't watch. My movie Rolodex is not as large as a lot of people here. Okay, I do have a movie Rolodex, but it's not as large. And that movie is very near and dear to my heart. And I would love for you to watch it so we can actually talk about it.
Well, I have to watch Accountant 1 first.
No,
I've been told.
Watch Accountant 1. That's what I'm saying. You don't have to see it. I'm not going to watch Accountant 2.
But Accountant 2 is out. So I got to watch Accountant 1, then I can go watch Accountant 2 in the movie theater.
You will watch Accountant 1 and you will completely understand why I'm not going to watch Accountant 2. It is a travesty just based off of the trailers, what they have done with The Accountant. You think the Mutual of Omaha, is the Mutual of Omaha building already in the outline on the Baxter Arena?
No.
Are they going to redo the court so they have the proper outline?
I don't know. That's a good question.
If I was a Mutual of Omaha
they have a couple of years.
If I was a Mutual of Omaha and I didn't get my outline at Baxter Arena, I actually would be quite furious because then I would be asking, why did we do it? We don't. Why did we do this?
Let's see. We're doing it so that all of our employees will come back to work and they will not be remote.
I kicked their ass yesterday, though.
Mutual of Omaha,
the league I'm in at Tiburon. The league I'm in.
I don't know that I want to tug on Superman's cape here in Omaha with Mutual of Omaha.
The league I'm in Tiburon. It's 80% guys from Mutual of Omaha. Shout out, Josh. I put him in my back pocket yesterday. Scored a 48. Broke my handicap. Got all 4 points for the Trap Patrol.
Did you guys want to play what 5 holes yesterday?
We played 9 holes.
Oh, okay.
I chipped in for bogey. I chipped in for the first time of my life yesterday. I hit the ground before I hit the ball.
Nice.
And then it popped up about 6 inches in the air, and then it rolled like a putt into the hole.
I didn't know JJ Spawn.
That chip was incredible. Rather rough.
Rory has slipped back. He just bogeyed a hole. But the tournament essentially is over. There's too many guys that have red numbers.
Is Oakmont on Fraud Watch?
People are saying that right now on the Fan in Pittsburgh on 93.7. They're calling in, and they are outraged.
Do you think the Fan on 93.7 in Pittsburgh is just doing 4 hours on the Open right now?
No, because they're talking about Aaron Rodgers.
Why?
And they are talking about Paul Skeens pitching tomorrow at Wrigley. Trevor Gachesky is 3 over through 3 as the West Side amateur playing in this event. I don't know what group he is with here. So
he's with the group that he's with is with 2 other golfers that I've never heard of.
Yep. So he's tied for 65th. All right, when we come back, if you want to get rid of the College World Series in Omaha,
okay,
there is a way to do it, and Nebraska and Creighton are going to have to do it.
Okay, I have no idea where this is going.
75 years we've made it this long in Omaha, but if you want the College World Series to get the hell out of town, Nebraska and Creighton could have a hand in it.
I don't know if this is a serious proposition from you or if it's going to be a jokey one.
It is. Steve Sipple's coming up at 9:15. Also, we had an anniversary around here that got no run on the zone. But when it happened, it was wall-to-wall coverage.
Didn't flu game happen today?
We didn't really talk about that on the zone that much.
Okay.
When this happened, it was wall-to-wall. Back then, 8A to
it was June
6P.
11th, by the way.
Thanks, Jim.
Gary and Matt with Jimmy. 1620 The Zone. All right, thank you, Adam, for sharing the no laying up tweet about the U.S. Open. 66 guys are on the course right now.
Okay.
Only 11 under par. Flawless conditions at the moment. The lowest scores are on the back nine, which is the easier side. Both sides of the golf course start out easy and finish very difficult, with the exception of 17. J.J. Spawn is 4 under. Gary Woodland 3 under. Rory McIlroy, Wyndham Clark, Kim, and Norgard are all 2 under. Ooh, Shane Lowry is 3 over. All right, he is starting on the. I believe he is on the back nine.
Should we? I got to look at the mixed sports book. How we're doing here? I cannot find Keegan Bradley. This is not a good sign. Keegan is nowhere to be found.
A couple of baseball items here before I tell you about if you want the College World Series to leave Omaha. This is what you need to do. Practice begins today at 9:10, Coastal Carolina. Each team gets 50 minutes. So it goes Coastal Carolina, Arizona, Oregon State, Louisville, UCLA, Murray State, Woo Pig Sooie, and then LSU. LSU starts at 4:10. That is the practice schedule. It is free and open to the public. If you are in our lovely city, you can go and do that. And one other baseball note. This is from our good friend, our Monday friend, Evan Bland.
Oh.
He reports that Tyler Stone and Casey Dice from the Nebraska baseball team, they are moving on.
Wow.
So they will not return to Nebraska baseball. Okay. 75th anniversary of the College World Series. Wall to wall. When I think of the College World Series, I think of the Zone. It's true. Most people do. They land in Omaha and they're like, ooh, Zestos, the Zone, College World Series.
Jello shots.
There are no plans for this tournament to move out of here because there's no other city in America that would make the commitment that we do in Omaha or have the stadium. So it's not going anywhere, and we're going to get a scoreboard in left field, which first reported on this radio station back in January. Just like some credit. Thank you.
Good job.
So with that said, and we would never let it leave. Now, we were held hostage a little bit by the NCAA, but, man, we make $115 million off y'all that come here and hang out for a while. I mean,
that's awesome.
Radio station does well as well. I mean, we're not going to kid anybody.
Yeah.
But remember in softball with Oklahoma's run, how there started to be this murmur about, we got to move the tournament because it's unfair. Because Oklahoma has all these fans that are here. Well, in the sport of softball, Devon Park is what, 13,000?
I would say it's around there.
So the closest facility in America for softball, I think, is OU's home park, and that's about 4,200. There is no other ballpark for softball that is built like Oklahoma City, and that's the home of the Olympics. It's not going to leave Oklahoma City, and even with Oklahoma's dominance.
Yeah. No.
So let's play along here. And I was thinking, this came up when we were talking about the 2005 Arizona State-Nebraska game, and there were 25,000 Nebraska fans that were at the game. What if, and this would be a good problem to have, what if Nebraska and Creighton were annually in contention to be playing in the College World Series? Would people look differently at Omaha? Because the first time Nebraska played at Rosenblatt in the College World Series, the whole tournament was triggered because they said, you guys are treating it like a Saturday at Memorial Stadium. Take off your Eric Crouch jersey and put on a different number 7. Maybe put on a Will Bolt number 7, okay? Because people were, and then when those 2 years when Nebraska lost, the tournament just lost all the energy in town.
Yeah.
Now in 2005, it was a little bit different, but it still was. But what would be the reaction if Creighton or Nebraska were regularly playing in the College World Series, and a majority of the fans, probably more in this discussion, Nebraska, the majority of the fans, you would feel like it is a road game playing in the College World Series on a more reg. Would there be somebody go, oh, that has lost its luster. College World Series has got to leave. Kalamazoo on line 1.
Yeah. No, it would be. There would be so much bitching and moaning and whining and complaining. And no one would ever give those teams credit for doing that and going to the College World Series year in and year out. They would know, even if they ended up winning the CWS, they'd be like, well, they only did it because they did it in front of their home fans. You know, if we played this game at Baton Rouge, we would have won. Like that's what you would get. You would get a lot of. Now, I don't think they would ever move it out because I think that
moving. Well, we're gonna.
But in your
25 years from now, on my last show on this radio station, we will celebrate the 100th anniversary.
I think what would be really.
I think I'll be retired by then.
What would be?
I'll come back.
I was about to say. I hope you're retired.
Oh, you'll still be here. I'll come back.
I'll still be here.
I'll come back. You can have me on as a guest. But we will celebrate our 100th anniversary in Omaha. But put that on the board.
I think that's actually great to put on the board. We have put that on the board for the next 25 years. But at the same time, I think they would present the College World Series to a different city, and they would lay out everything they would have to do and all the accommodations and all of the different hotels. And, you have to make a baseball village, and you have to have these vendors, and you have to have these restaurants. And, by the way, like this is the stadium that we're going to have to use, and you're going to have to shut down these entire roads. And a city would look at that and say, hell no. We are not going to do that. That is way too much, because that's exactly what Omaha does. They literally roll out the red carpet and allow an entire organization to just take over the city for 10 days. No city, and we love it because we've embraced it and we enjoy it and we find the fun in it. No other city would do that. They'd be like, what? We have to give up control for over a week and a half? And we're going to have all these people
imagine
walking around?
Imagine if you had a stadium that had a main tenant in. You would be booted out for 2 weeks, just like the Royals were when they were at Rosenblatt, but probably even a little bit more nowadays. I don't know that would go over very well. So they're going to be here, but this is what we need to ask, because we give them a lot. We give them a lot.
They literally come in and we give them the city. We give them the heart of give them downtown for 10 days.
We need something in return, NCAA. I know you love us as an event town. We're not getting the swim trials back. Swim trials are going to stay in Indianapolis, and that's okay.
Final Four?
No.
Hey, can a man not?
I think we might even be. I think the arena might even be too small for
a Final Four
for women. Now, men is a dome.
Yeah, I know.
I don't
put in a memorial.
I don't know. I mean, I would love to have volleyball back here, but here's what we need to get in return for being such good stewards of the NCAA, that we let them use our ballpark. We need an Elite Eight back here. Thank you. Sweet 16, Elite Eight.
Yeah.
We need that back here. I know we just got done last year, not this past basketball season, but the year before, with the NCAA first and second round. Why not just give us a little Sweet 16 Elite Eight again? One of the greatest sporting events in this town was the Elite Eight final between Duke and KU that went to overtime. Anybody that was in that building will tell you that is, and to me, of my time since moving back to Nebraska and Omaha, that is on my list as one of the best moments. Was that just throw us a Sweet 16 Elite Eight again, and we'll call it good, and we'll let you stay here for the next 25 years.
We'll call it even.
Yeah.
First off, I think getting one Elite Eight for 25 more years of the College World Series probably isn't the fairest trade for Omaha. I would probably expect.
Well, they're starting to go to bigger. They're starting to go to bigger cities. Like, we don't want to be grouped with Wichita. We don't want to be grouped with Spokane. We want to be grouped with Chicago.
There you go.
We want to be grouped with
Albany,
Dallas. Okay, we would like a Sweet 16.
We want to be
Elite
grouped
8
with Seattle or San Diego or San Antonio. We have moved past being grouped with Rochester or Cleveland or Gettysburg or Spartansburg or whatever burg they end up going to. Okay. I have another proposition, though. As opposed to getting an Elite Eight.
Now, to be fair, Gatlinburg and Spartanburg are not miles apart. They're kind of in the same area of the country.
Everybody gets a bat.
But they are different cities.
If you have an Omaha address,
mm-hmm.
you get a bat. Everybody gets like one bat for a family. You know, it's nice, like a Louisville Slugger carved in College World Series 2025. You hang it up, and then like if you live in Omaha long enough, you're like, look, I've lived here for 20 years. You can tell by my 20 College World Series bats. You're smiling. You like it.
It's gonna have to grow on me.
Can you imagine, like, guys, the bat's here, right? And everybody runs out into the driveway. They pick up the bat. You're running back down to the man cave, hang it up.
Adam makes a note here on a text.
I'm an idea guy. All right, I'm just throwing out ideas.
The diehard Omaha CWS fan would be happier with Creighton playing.
No, why? Why?
Well, Adam goes on, and he's right. They don't have the fan base Nebraska does and wouldn't take over the College World Series. It'd be a nice story and fun to track.
Sure.
The diehard Omaha College World Series fans hate when Nebraska comes in and takes over.
I agree with that because the diehard College World Series fan looks at Creighton and taps them on the head like a little bro. It was like, oh, nice job, way to get here. And they look at Nebraska and they're like, oh, these people are loud and obnoxious.
A little bit of, well.
And that's not a slight on Creighton. That's a slight on like
the last part. So
I'm not saying they are loud and
but
obnoxious.
Nebraska fans buy up the tickets and they, it is a road game. But like, let's say when Nebraska plays in the College World Series, they get eliminated, it sucks the air out of the tournament. Creighton plays and they get eliminated, it wouldn't necessarily suck all of the air out. Like it has the 3 times when Nebraska's been here.
Do you think that if Nebraska was consistently in the College World Series and the fan base was consistently taking over downtown Omaha, that there would be people from out of town who might pull back and going to the CWS?
No, because I think they would be there to support Nebraska. I think what you would get is you get some outrage from a lot of programs about an unfair advantage.
But I don't think I. Where else would they put it? Like where else would you?
Yeah,
put
that'd be the only where somebody would go. Not so fast, my friend.
Yeah,
but it's not. It's we'll celebrate 100 years, but first we got to celebrate 75. When we come back, we didn't celebrate something yesterday that is an anniversary. That did kind of surprise me when someone pointed out that. Did you know 15 years ago yesterday something happened significant? Nobody brought it up until I saw a tweet. And I'm wondering why a humongous moment in this state has not been talked about more yesterday or even today until we will. Steve Sipple will join us as well, plus Brian Edwards. That's all to come on this Thursday edition of Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back in. Last hour on a Thursday of Gary and Matt. Steve Sipple's coming up in about 15 minutes. Andrew writes in, camping out overnight in Rosenblatt's parking lot for the first Nebraska CWS game is one of my favorite memories growing up.
It's got to be pretty cool.
It was cool to leave Lincoln. The team drove right down O Street, all the way out to 84th, and there were people lined up to wish Nebraska well on their way to
all the way down
Omaha.
to 84th and O?
Yep, all the way down O.
Wow.
They started from the camp. They started from Buck Belcher, which is the Hawks Championship Center now, and they made their way to O Street through downtown.
Yeah.
And they went from 9th all the way to 84th before they turned left and then, made their way down 84th.
That's absolutely insane.
And there were people lined up cheering on the bus for the Nebraska baseball team leaving. And we're in Lincoln during the week. And so all you heard were reports of people that were camped out.
Sure.
They were waiting for tickets for the GA. That was a special time. That whole to win the Super at home and 2 over Rice at Buck Belcher in the final year of Buck Belcher, get to the College World Series for the first time. And it was that day. I mean, that Friday, because President Bush threw out the first pitch. So they shut down 13th Street and it was already a zoo.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a zoo. But it was already a zoo, and it was tough to get in, and they held people up so the president could get the motorcade could come from Epley and get in, or I think they flew into Epley, not off it. And it was an incredible day. But this is where I knew Nebraska was in trouble.
Okay.
And I mean, they went 2 in the queue 2 times in a row with DVH, and they lost some games where I don't think Dave had a very good day in the third base box. A couple of those games, but Nebraska, so the Tulane-Stanford game went long, and Nebraska was delayed, I think, about 45 minutes. Nebraska walks out on the field, and it did feel like a Saturday at Memorial Stadium. The place went nuts.
Yeah.
There were people in the outfield that were sitting in the bleachers, were leaning over the wall, and they were beating on the wall as Nebraska. And all Nebraska was doing, the players were just walking to start stretching in the outfield. It was insane.
Do you think that might have gotten in their heads? Like the team's heads?
I don't know. I mean, it was wrapped up. Every single pitch you were on edge.
Jeez.
Like every time that the strike zone got squeezed for Komine, people were livid. And I remember Cal State Fullerton, they said all the right things, but they're like, screw this.
Yeah.
We don't, everybody's against us. And it led to like Augie Garrido going after Nebraska fans, then having to come back here and apologize. So the lesson learned here today is Nebraska baseball, don't ever make it back to the College World Series.
Yeah. Don't ruin it for everybody.
Curtis, I like Curtis. Says the majority of College World Series season ticket holders I know are also Husker football season ticket holders from Omaha. So I don't think that the two are mutually exclusive. If Nebraska ever makes it back, it will be another blip on the College World Series radar.
The question more so, though, if it more so be about do Omahans like it, and do the other people who travel out of state across the country enjoy the fact that, Nebraska fans would consistently invade.
I think I would.
It'd be a great problem to have.
I would thoroughly enjoy it.
I would have a great time with it.
All right. Something happened yesterday that until somebody sent me a screenshot of a tweet, shout out Dave Fight, I didn't even realize. Now, I've been teasing this all morning. Do you guys know what happened yesterday, 15 years ago, that completely changed the athletic landscape in this state?
Big Ten.
Yes.
Okay.
So yesterday was the 15th anniversary of the Big Ten presidents and chancellors approving the membership application by Nebraska. And, a year later and a month later, Nebraska would officially join the Big Ten. Okay. That was 15 years ago.
That's crazy.
I wasn't living here, but I was following from afar, and I know the zone. It was a incredible time to be either covering Nebraska athletics or be involved because of the monumental shift in college athletics and conferences, and the fact that Nebraska had a front row seat and was involved in it.
Yeah.
Surprise you guys that nothing. Sip didn't write a story.
No.
Chattel didn't make it was a Dave Fight tweet that I saw to go, oh yeah, 15 years ago. Is that surprising that nobody brought that up?
I don't think it is. Because I think first it's our reality. Like Nebraska is now a Big Ten school.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's we are here. It happened. We have gone through it. They have competed. They have done things. They've won some conference championships in sports. Like Nebraska is in the Big Ten. But I also do think too, like when you talk about them moving to the Big Ten, it does kind of bring a little bit of a negative discourse, right? Because there still are some people who are like,
oh yeah,
we should have never left the Big 12. Oh my God, I missed the Big 8. But it was an absolutely incredible time.
But haven't in the last 2 years that fraction has gotten smaller?
Because once again, I think it's just reality now. Like there are just some things you can complain and moan about, and it doesn't matter how much you complain about it, is not going to happen. And what's not going to happen is Nebraska going back to the Big 12.
No, but why I say I think and that last part is correct, is Nebraska's not going back to the Big 12. But I think as the landscape currently is changing, you realize Nebraska has made a wise decision 15 years ago to get into the Big Ten because there is more stability with Nebraska's home playing field than there ever has. And I also think the money part of it.
Oh, yeah.
The financial part, I'm not going to speak for all fans, but I think you can at least recognize that the fact that Nebraska's in a conference, because you see the numbers in comparison to the Big Ten to the Big 12, you go, oh, yeah. Well, Nebraska is made the right decision. One thing I don't agree about is I don't think Nebraska still feels like a fully Big Ten school.
I just think they have
because they haven't won big in football.
So there it is.
Yeah.
So they have too much history in their previous conference as a dominant force for you to ever forget about them being in that conference. So I agree with the fact that, but like they've been for 15 years. Like they've been for 15 years. Like they are a Big Ten school. They are. Like that's what they are. You're always going to remember the history of it. But they are now a Big Ten school. Now, what I think will increase...
Do they feel like a Big Ten school, though?
Do you know what will increase them feeling like a Big Ten school?
Feels like? I mean, maybe Ohio State?
Like
UCLA, when they take the field on Saturday to take on the Darlings, the Racers, do they go, Big Ten team just walked on the field?
I never felt...
They've only been in there for a year.
I'm going to be honest with you. I never really felt that way going to Welsh Ryan Field. I've never really been like, oh, yeah, we're a Big Ten team, because whenever we did line up against the Big Ten teams, they'd be towering over us. We're just a team in the Big Ten. I never had that.
That's a good phrase.
Yeah. Like Northwestern is we're a team in the Big Ten. I think what gets Nebraska over the line to make more people feel like, hey, this is our conference. Yes, it's winning a conference championship, but it's also the heightened rivalry with other teams in the conference. If Nebraska were to be able to get to the point where we just absolutely hate Iowa, like, and not just like, oh, hey, we're rivals with Iowa, we play at the end of the year. I'm talking like, I can't stand the sight of yellow, and like it is rooted in you almost as much as like Jimmy hates Missouri. Like if there was like more rooted rivalries, I feel like,
aren't we close with the Bumblebees?
I do think we're close getting there, but I also think if you were to like absolutely hate Wisconsin and just be like, can't stand Wisconsin, and I want to beat Wisconsin.
So on the flip side of that, the Big Ten kills that,
because Nebraska doesn't play Wisconsin.
You're not playing Wisconsin this year.
It's a damn shame.
The one thing in the new expanded Big Ten is you've killed some of the secondary rivalries. Iowa-Nebraska is the number one rivalry. Nebraska has to hold up their end of the bargain. And then Wisconsin was the potential to be the secondary rivalry for Nebraska in the conference.
You think Minnesota could get there?
As long as PJ Fleck stays there.
Nebraska's got to beat Minnesota, though.
In 2025, the year of our rule, yes, they do.
Like that would, I think, and I agree with you too, like the winning in the Big Ten will make you feel like more like, hey, this is our conference and, we own it or whatever. But I also think like there are still some people like Nebraska and Colorado have not been in a conference in a very, very long time. And when they came to town, there was way more juice for that game than any other Big Ten game that I have ever been at and I had ever experienced.
Outside of the helmet games. Like when Michigan and Ohio State come here because of the helmets, there is juice. But you're right about Colorado because of the familiarity with, again, what is it? Nostalgia?
Well, it's winning.
Well, I think there's nostalgia back in the day when, Nebraska football was good, is Colorado helped Nebraska through a period where Oklahoma was down in the 90s.
But the one thing about this conversation, which is interesting to me, is that Nebraska will never have the success in the Big Ten that they had in the Big 12. Let's just be honest. It is a different time in college sports. It's a different era. We've talked about where talent is and Nebraska's ability to get talent. Like what Nebraska accomplished during that time is almost damn near impossible for them to ever accomplish again. And for really
I think that's college football.
And that's for any team.
Nobody will have a run like 5 years.
No.
The Alabama run of late is probably the closest.
So when you have that run in that conference, you're always just going to be married to it. You're always going to be married to those memories. But you do have to, and to add on to your point, you go, well, I think it was a very wise decision that Nebraska went to the Big Ten when we look back on it now. Not only did Nebraska go to the Big Ten.
It's Tom Osborne's second greatest thing he ever did at Nebraska.
What's so great about it, though, is that when all of this stuff happened, they were an established member. It wasn't like, they're new or, you haven't been here long enough. Like when Oregon and Washington and USC and UCLA came to the table, Nebraska was able to sit at the table and be like, hey, guys, we've been in here for over a decade. We've been sitting at this table. We've gone through our initiation. We've gone through the process. We've tried to support this conference. We are one of its members. And so it's not only just moving to the conference, but like being able to be a, longstanding member when all of this hullabaloo was going around gives them such a great advantage because they get all the revenue.
They do, but they don't have a seat at the big boy table.
Not yet. They got to beat the guys at the big boy table. They haven't beaten them at the right sports, though.
Well, I mean, finished in the top 20 in the Directors' Cup for the first time since you were in the Big 12, which could, I think, will happen. They're, 19th right now? Haven't finished in the top 20 since 09-10. Who do we think, Trev or Troy? Do they get equal credit? Do they get both a bonus check?
Trev gets one. He's like, hey, it won't cash, guys. It won't cash. Send my royalties.
All right. Steve Sipple is coming up next. Brian Edwards before the hour is over. JJ Spahn.
Jeez, man.
One-shot lead through 10 over Gary Woodland, who is one shot back. He is through 7. DeChambeau has kind of turned it around. He's 3 shots back. Rory is 2 back. And we're back with more after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, let's welcome in our good friend from 93.7 The Ticket, Husker Online, among other things. Stephen M. Sipple joins us on a bright and sunny Thursday ahead of his favorite event, the College World Series. Hello, Sip.
Gary and Matt.
Yes. You know what?
Hi.
You remember you used to come up here and you would fill in doing shows. You love the College World Series.
Listen, I don't mind it. I liked it better at Rosenblatt. But no, I didn't have a big problem with it. But I did, yeah. I missed those times, those substitutions.
Yes.
Going out to the stadium and wherever it was. Sometimes but no, we weren't in a tent. We were actually in a building. But yeah, it was fun with Josh. Me and Josh had some very spirited conversations.
Yeah, they were good times. But will you be making the journey? Will you be making?
No, I don't have any plans to at all. No, I almost say unequivocally no.
Okay.
Not that I have anything against it at all. I'm just busy. Just have a lot going down.
Yeah, you do. And we'll talk about somebody who popped into your show yesterday. I saw this yesterday because we're at the end of the athletic season. Track and field championships are going on. Last year, we talked about the Directors Cup. And to be honest, Sip, I didn't pay much attention to the Sears Cup, Directors Cup until Bill Byrne brought it up. And it was a big deal for Bill Byrne for Nebraska to be good in all sports. Last year, Nebraska finished 22nd in the country, and that was their best since 2010. They're going to eclipse that this year, where it looks like they're going to finish 19th. And before that, we don't need to talk about that because Nebraska was like a distant way down. How big of a deal? Because I know Trev's philosophy on it. How big of a deal is like doing well in the Directors Cup for Troy Dannon?
I think it's important to an AD. It might be written into his contract what a finish like that might mean. I don't think that it captures the sporting fans' imaginations like it used to. It doesn't seem like it's tracked in the media as closely as it used to.
Mm-hmm.
I think most places you'd go wouldn't even know what you're talking about. I feel like in Nebraska, because we're such a fervent fan and media base that we do follow those things a little bit, or maybe a lot in some cases. But I think if I was the AD, it would be a big deal. I just don't know how big it is to the average fan. Although I would say this, I attach great significance to it. I think it's important. I mean, it for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely want to be in the top 20 and not outside the top 25 where Nebraska's been. So yeah, it's good. It's good for Troy Dannon. It indicates a lot. I think it indicates a lot. I mean, indicates that there's some degree of good culture in your athletic department, that the coaching hires, not necessarily that he's made, but just coaching hires of past and present are hitting.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot. I think it means a lot to me.
It used to be on. I feel like when I used to watch Sports Center, they used to show the standings all the time at the Directors Cup.
Yeah,
and like give updates on the Directors Cup, and I have not seen that at all the last couple of years. But Steve, you and I were at the Battle at the Boneyard together. We had a good time. We sat down. We watched a little Trey Taylor, watched a little Ahmad Hudson. We exchanged notes, but there was an interesting convo that you and I had very briefly, and I want to kind of give you the floor here to just talk about a certain player, and I'll just lay it out this way. Do you think Dayton Raiola is getting overlooked?
Oh, Matt, it depends who you talk to. I guess by and large, yes. I do think so. I think that some of it's just a product of Trey's presence.
Yeah,
Trey Taylor's been very present, and then he won a championship at the Boneyard event, and he looks very good doing it. I mean, for the sake of balance, we should note that Dayton just took his Buford team to Georgia to a 7-on-7. 7-on-7 camp, I think it was, and lit it up. I mean, Dayton had Dayton did very well at the Georgia camp. So Dayton, I don't think Dayton worries about it. That's probably the main thing. I don't think the Raiola family worries about the attention that Trey Taylor's getting. But I do think that, Dayton gets a little lost in the shuffle, in part because Trey has just been so present. I mean, he was here all of last week at the Graduate Hotel, with his mom, and was at, he's at the camp. He's on campus every day. And now he'll be here this week again for Friday Night Lights. So yeah, he's here for all the camp days, which I love. Yeah. I just love it about him. And he works. It's not symbolic. It's maybe partially symbolic, but he works the camps hard as a player, and he recruits. So it's a great picture. But I think Dayton's a great picture too. God, Dayton! I saw him the other day, popped out of Dylan's SUV, and I just watched him grow up. I've just watched Dayton grow up. It's amazing. He's a big 6'2", 215, 220-pound, good-looking quarterback.
Yeah, you can tell that physically he's starting to reach puberty. I know I don't want to go gaga over a soon-to-be high school senior, but you are right, because when we first got to know Dom, he was a little chubby kid running around. And even last year, I thought he was a little bit chubby. He's put the work in. He's not
chubby little kid.
Yeah, well, his older brother, he looks significantly different. I mean, I've always thought that Dayton looked like dad and Dylan looked like mom, but they've still got that, Dom's kind of body, but they both significantly look different a year later. So yesterday, and good on you, and you guys have the great location there in downtown Lincoln. A guy that runs the Nebraska football program was just walking down the street, popped into your street side studio. So good conversation, and you know him really well. And I think people are like, as they gear up for 25 and there's more optimism and you can start to go, okay, I could see this, this, and this. And you got a guy who is the best PR coach that Nebraska athletics has ever had. And your conversation was a lot about the same topics that he talks about and he's positive about. What would be the only hesitation, Sip? Not the football team in particular, like offense or defense, but what would be the only hesitation about Nebraska being unable under rule to take the next step, to jump out of the middle of the Big Ten pack and start to be able to be like down the block from the Oregons, Ohio States, Michigans, Penn States?
Oh, there's just not much anymore that you would say that's dragging them back or that should drag them back, except recent history. Just prolonged struggle that they have to get over that hurdle. We all know how that happens, but it's easier said than done. I think there's still a little bit of the geography that works against you. I don't think it's as germane as it used to be, that conversation, but it's still a conversation. I still hear them bring it up. The staff, the immediate coaching staff, and even the extended staff to a certain point still hear it. I listen closely. I was talking to, I guess I shouldn't get into who, but I still will hear it. Why is it not as big a deal as it used to be? Because of the NIL and the NIL piece and the transfer portal. It's easier to probably work around the geography thing, but you hear Matt talk about it all the time. Matt Rule, you got to get kids here. That was the whole point, basically, of the Boneyard event and the Huddle Symposium. It's always about getting players here and knocking down the perceptions of what they're walking into in the middle of the country. Mm-hmm. It's still very real. You hear it from players. You hear it anecdotally. Quentin Ives saying, I didn't even know where Nebraska, Ives is from New Jersey. Yeah. And he said, honestly, I didn't even know where Nebraska was. So you're still battling that, but there's not much you're battling anymore. And I'm glad you asked, because it's the part of Nebraska football that I always have in the back of my mind, what is keeping them from being Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, and to a certain extent Michigan? Why? and the thing I guess I'm rambling, but the last thing I'll say is the thing I most appreciate about Matt Rule is he is not settling for the middle of the pack. Now he's had to change his recruiting in not settling, but he's not settling, and I think that's the route to go. But it's a hard route. It's a hard route.
So you talk about recent history. I'll give you a couple of stats here. Nebraska hasn't beaten Minnesota since 2018. They haven't beaten a ranked team since 2016. They haven't beaten.
Whoa, stop! They haven't beaten a ranked team since 2016.
Is Nebraska looking up here? The Nebraska's last win against a ranked opponent was in 2016 when they beat Oregon.
Good God!
They haven't beaten, so it's been 9 years since they beat Colorado, but they weren't ranked at the time. They were ranked at the end of the year. They haven't beaten Michigan since 2013. Okay, there's a whole other list. I'm pretty sure they haven't beaten a power. I can't even remember the last time they beat a Power 5 opponent in week 1 to begin the year, but it's been multiple years since they've done that. Talk about the recent history. What is a successful season in terms of how many of those check marks they're able to get off in terms of accomplishing things they haven't accomplished before?
Well, I mean, like beating Michigan, was it game 4? What game is that?
Week 4.
Michigan. Beating Michigan would be gigantic in that entire conversation. And then going forward and winning 9 or 10 would really help. That's the sort of thing that would. It eventually has to be about, not all about, but it has. The results have to be there, or you're just stuck in where we're stuck in right now, which is not altogether unpleasant, but it'll the longer it goes with this particular coach, it'll get more unpleasant because he shouldn't have to, but he shoulders the burden of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right? He shouldn't have to. It's not fair, but he shoulders the burden of Nebraska not having to win against a ranked team since they beat Oregon without that good running back. He went out early, which I always thought, I don't know how that game would have looked like if they had Royce Freeman in there, Oregon. They didn't.
Or would have stopped going for 2 all the time after a score.
Right, exactly. So, he shoulders that. So eventually you gotta beat a Michigan. And it can't be a far-flung notion to win at Penn State. It can't be your fan base going, well, you're not going to win at Penn State, but you can still have a good season. No, I mean, if you're real, if you're Oregon and Ohio State, then you go to Penn State with a chance to win. Now, they did that against Ohio State last year, but they got beat 56-7 at Indiana. I mean, you can't see a world right now where Ohio State's going to lose 56-7 to Indiana, that Oregon's going to lose 56-7 to Indiana. That world doesn't exist. Nebraska's got to get to that world.
There is that block that, guys that just got here figure out. One thing from this past weekend and the first commitment to come out of the weekend is an offensive lineman. And he's, the conversation sometimes gets very awkward or rides the ups and downs. Give me your current vibe on Donovan Raiola and the whole package. Developer as an offensive line, and then also as a recruiter as part of this staff.
Well, the recruiting part's looking better and better.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say in the last year and a half or so. And right now, he's in really good shape because they got Waterman. They're going to get that kid from Biloxi. His name is Ainsworth. And I think they're going to get Ryan Barrett too. So he's on a bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
Donovan's on kind of a heater right now. He's already done well recently recruiting those young guys they got in the pipeline right now. He's got guys waiting behind the guys. So it's set up pretty well. I mean, he's got a veteran crew with some. I mean, what you want is a veteran bunch of guys with some promise behind it, and they have that. And the promise kind of keeps coming. It's a great culture, is what the thing that strikes me the most is, like, for instance, you go to the camps. I go to all these camp days, and the current players are there. I almost find it more informative to watch the current players than the campers, because you learn a lot. And one thing you always see, and it's part of the culture of Donovan Raiola's room, is they're always together. Guys are always together, and that's by design. All those guys they talk about it all the time, But we do everything together because an offensive line has to operate together. It's a unique position, and they do. I hope they take on Donovan's personality more and more. He's got a very hard edge to him. Donovan's an interesting guy. He's kind of wild, but I like his hard edge, and because an offensive line needs that, and I think they're getting it. I mean, I think we're seeing that more and more. I always tell you guys, Gary's heard me say it before, at least. I get mildly annoyed when they hire an assistant coach and people ask me, what do you think of the hire? I mean, I always say, ask me after 2 years and maybe 3, but nobody wants to hear that. They're always like, what kind of answer is that? Well, it's what I'm telling you right now. Donovan, in year 3, I got a good feel for it, and I like it. But I didn't know in year 1. I didn't know what the hell to say. Like, he didn't have much experience. But now you're seeing him flourish at this point, a few years down the road after the initial hire.
What I've noticed about Coach Rule, Steve, is that from the second he stepped on to Nebraska's campus, he just seemed comfortable. He seemed comfortable with the job. And it's a job, and I know you know this, that can make you very uncomfortable very quickly. What do you think it says about him that he just always seems like he's comfortable having this massive position? And where does he compare to coaches you've seen in the past?
Oh, I think Rule can walk into a rice field in Cambodia and feel comfortable. I just think he's that way. I wonder if they have rice fields in Cambodia. I think they do, but they
keep it moving.
He's that guy. He's comfortable in the skin, Matt. That's what it is. Yeah. And if he's not, he's good at. I don't like to say faking it, but he's good at compensating and whatever. But I just think he seems very comfortable. He's a very amicable person. The thing that has always been striking to me about Rule is how quickly he thinks. I think he's very confident. I think he must be really intelligent. I got to think he was a high achiever in school. He's just a super intelligent person. And he's a kind person, but I'll tell you, he's kind. And that's a critical trait.
Yes, it is.
But who's in charge.
Yeah.
And that's how if I had to pick 5 things that I want in a head coach, is I want to know when you're scanning the football field that you can tell who's in charge. And with Rule, you know who that guy is. I could drop in from Manchester, England, and drop on into the Hawks Championship Center and scan the field, and I know who the head coach is. And because he has that way about it. And so there's a good package there.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he's not perfect. He's not a perfect game day coach. We've seen that. But there's a lot there, and I think Nebraska's really, really lucky to have him.
All right. Next time you're on the show, we'll talk about Man U coming from Manchester. And also, if you're wondering, because this is going to bug you all day, yes, there are rice fields are omnipresent in Cambodia because because that is the staple food for Cambodians.
It's a good call.
It's a great food too. It's a great food.
Couldn't agree more.
Rice
and beans,
just rice on its own.
Oh, I get scallops, broccoli, and steamed rice.
Yeah,
at least twice a week. Yeah.
Throw that couscous in there. If you throw some couscous with the scallops and broccoli, it's a great combo.
I don't know what couscous is.
It's a different form of like rice in a way. It's really good.
Okay.
It's like it's with more butter and fat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. You can get that at the cafeteria next time. Sip, as always, thanks for your time. Have a great end of the week. A great.
What do you mean by cafeteria? Are you suggesting old folks' home? Is that what you're doing?
No, I mean,
We're not suggesting anything.
Some of us go to a cafeteria. You might have a cafeteria where you work at.
I think I know what you're suggesting. Take care, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
See you, Sip.
Stephen M. Sipple.
We got Cambodia and Manchester, England, all in one interview with Sipple. It's the best.
Those rice fields are the white gold of Cambodia.
Are you now reading up on Cambodian rice fields right now?
No, that's a very well-known thing.
I did not know that they were. What'd you call them? The white gold?
Yeah, that's what they call. They call them white gold.
Mhm.
I had no clue.
We are an educational program as well.
I get educated.
It is summer break, so the kids got to get their knowledge somehow.
I mean, some people like the rice fields, some like the rice patties. Just whatever, you know.
Or the Krabby
rice
Patties.
fields. I don't like rice patties. The whole they all try to be like Quakers got the rice cakes or whatever, and all the fitness influencers love putting peanut butter and banana on them, thinking that they're all healthy or whatever. They taste like chalk.
If you ever want to see how they plant rice, there are a lot of videos online.
Shout out YouTube.
Yes. JJ Spahn's still in the lead at the U.S. Open. Brian Edwards will join us next to wrap this Thursday party on 1620 The Zone.
Gary Matt brought to you by AJR Roofing and Construction, AJRroofingandconstruction.com. We welcome in our Vegas insider, the man, the myth, the legend, the person who gives you all the right picks, Mr. Brian Edwards. Brian, it was pretty chalky UFC 316 last week, wasn't it?
It was. And Kayla and Amanda has the feel of a big fight.
Yeah.
And Kayla was, let's see, she was minus 162 earlier in the week. Let's see where it is now. Looks like down to minus 155, Amanda plus 130 on the comeback. And I believe I saw Marab was around minus 400 at Bet Online.
Yeah.
Sandhagen, if that fight materialized.
He's quickly becoming one of the best bantamweights of all time, which he would probably overtake his own teammate Aljamain Sterling on the way to doing so. So, hey, it's a pretty good fight night, though, that we're going to have this week. We got some pretty good cards. Rose Namajunas is back at it. She's going to take on Miranda Maverick. Cody Garbrandt will be back at it again. Hopefully his chin has recovered in some way, shape, or form, but I don't think it has since that Sun South fight back in 2020. But we have probably one of the bigger matchups in terms of what you can have on a fight night card. Joaquin Buckley taking on what I still think is the greatest welterweight of all time, Kamaru Usman. Brian, I think this is a really, really tough one to pick, and Usman definitely on the back half of his career. But how are you looking at it?
Yeah, I mean, Usman's been out since October 21st of 23, so not quite 2 years, but getting close. Now, I actually scored the Chimaev fight. I scored it for Usman. I thought he won rounds 2 and 3. Now, I could understand if somebody gave Chimaev a 10-8 in round 1, but I thought he fought well that night. And, he was fighting great the first Edwards fight, but Edwards inched him out in the rematch. So, I mean, it's not like he's been in, terrible form, but, gosh, he's 38 now. So, here's how I look at it. If it was a 7-game series, I think Buckley wins, but it's gonna go 6 or 7 games. But in fighting, it's one fight, it's one night, and I can't turn down Usman at plus 230 at DraftKings. I'm not implying it's a big wager by any stretch.
Sure,
but I'm gonna have a little bit on Usman plus 230.
Hey, let me go back to UFC 316. What do you think happens to Sean O'Malley now?
Well, I think Cejudo's a fun fight.
Yeah.
If that could headline a fight night or be maybe, I don't even know that you'd have to do it a co-main. I mean, you could put it as, the fight before the co-main on a pay-per-view.
You think New York?
I like that, and the timing for that sounds good.
It would be
always
perfect.
November. Yeah, I like that. I think Cejudo's Cejudo's retirement fight and O'Malley in bounce back mode or double bounce back mode.
Sure.
I think not a co-main, but put that on the main card in New York. I like that idea.
All right, let's shift to basketball, where Oklahoma City is now 0-8 against the spread on the road in the postseason. They were 5.5-point favorites last night, got beat by Indiana. Indiana is up 2-1. Game 4 right back at the Fieldhouse on Friday night. Have you seen? Well, let me first ask you. I know what you want to play. What you're feeling in this game. What is the early line for this game?
6, and the updated series price is OKC minus 230, and the Pacers plus 190. I can't lay 6. I can't do that. But I'm thinking this is OKC's game, so I'm thinking minus 3.5 in the first half on OKC and or minus 2 in the first quarter. That's what I'm thinking right now, but I don't love it by any means. Man, they're not in must-win mode, but they're getting close to it.
Hey,
they need game 4 badly.
When do we get some respect for the Pacers from Vegas?
Thank you.
Right? Yeah. I mean, we're not getting it. I mean, the line's even higher at 6, so they're not getting it. They've been an ATM machine.
They have.
But I wonder. I wonder what the line's going to do. I mean, we've got till tomorrow night. So, I mean, the line could come back or it could go higher.
Are you surprised about the series line at all, Brian? Still plus money when they're up 2-1 with a home game?
I
mean, that's crazy to me. I mean, that I expected even. When I woke up this morning, I thought it would be an even price. And when I saw that you can get $8 more on a $10 bet, I thought that was crazy.
Right. No, I hear your thinking there. I think because I'm holding a quarter unit bet on Pacers 12-1 and a quarter unit bet on 15-1, I just haven't really been thinking about it other than to maybe hedge a little with OKC. Sure. But I mean, if I wasn't holding that, I think plus 190 for the Pacers would be attractive.
Wow. Hey, all right. So we're getting we're 11 Thursdays around here from Nebraska starting on a Thursday night in Kansas City against Cincinnati. Totals are out. We've all kind of gone through them. The magazines are starting to show up. I don't know if in your area Athlon and Lindy's are there. Phil Steele is less than a month away. Let's talk some Vanderbilt real quick here because people know who Vanderbilt is now after they got on the radar last year. That their win totals are still pretty low.
Yeah, I like it over, and I like it a good bit. Now, the 4.5 is pretty expensively juiced. I know minus 162 at FanDuel. So when I say I like it a lot, I'm not saying put a ton on a minus 162 bet, but I also like it over. I think they're going to win 6, maybe 7. So you look at they've got 8 starters back from a defense that gave up 23.6 points per game. Now, that isn't, elite defense, but for Vandy, I mean, Vandy usually gives up 35 to 38 points per game. That's an elite Vandy defense. 7 of 10 tacklers, or 7 of their top 10 tacklers are back. And look, they win 6 in the regular season last year, and that was with 4 one-possession losses. I mean, they lost by 4 at Georgia State. They lost a double OT at Mizzou, only by 7 at LSU, and only by 3 to Texas. So I look at their schedule: Charleston Southern, Georgia State, and Utah State at home. I have those as wins. I also have Kentucky at home as the win. A potential, I think they can beat Missouri at home. And then I think they could potentially steal 1 out of the back-to-back road games at Va-Tech and at South Carolina, more likely at Va-Tech. Oh gosh, what was I going to say? Oh, and Auburn at home. Look, I think Auburn is going to be good this year, especially if second week in a row that I blanked on Jackson Arnold's name for a moment. If Jackson Arnold is pretty good, Auburn's got a chance to have a really good year. But Diego Pavia is Hugh Freeze's daddy. He's 3-0 against him. He's beat him by double digits 3 times. He's been a double-digit underdog in 2 of those, and he was a 7.5-point underdog at Auburn last year. So Hugh Freeze does not do well against Diego, so I got to call that one a win as well. So I think they get to at least 6, maybe 7. So over for me.
Hey, great stuff. Have a great weekend, my friend.
Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good one as well.
That's Brian Edwards, senior handicapper at Vegas Insider. Also stuff on MajorWager.com.
Yeah, can we get that as a drop? Can we put that in the intro?
Hey, they're going to get their ass kicked by Alabama. But other than that, they got a chance to win maybe 6 games.
You talking about Vanderbilt or Wisconsin?
Vanderbilt.
Which team are you talking about?
I'm talking about Vandy, who invest, hey, finally, I think their stadium's going to be done, right? They'll have a real end zone.
Yeah.
They won't be kicking into a construction site.
Vandy very quietly has had a very good year in terms of sports. Like football was relevant. Basketball was competitive.
Yeah, they were much better in basketball.
Baseball was the number one overall seed in the NCAA tournament. Like I feel like for the last decade, they've kind of been a laughingstock in terms of sports. And not that they were elite this year, but they were pretty damn good.
They finally invested in NIL and facilities.
You have to. And I mean, better late than ever.
All right.
Better late than ever.
Tomorrow is the College World Series. We'll have everything you need to know and don't need to know. Tomorrow we join you at 6. And we will talk about a Stanley Cup game tonight.
Yeah, it's happening. We're going to spend 4 hours on
an important one.
We're going to spend the entire show on it.
By the way, Ferris wheel is back. Yes.
I might go and ride it today.
You should.
I don't like heights, but
ride everything.
Yes, I will. I will ride everything I possibly can at the CWS.
Crossovers coming up next. JJ Spawn still got a one-shot lead. He's through 12. The course is starting to toughen up a little bit. Go course.
Go course.
Except when Scotty's out there at about 1 o'clock.
Plus 285.
All right, crossovers coming up next for Jimmy, for Matt. I'm Gary. We'll talk to you in 20 hours on the day of the College World Series tomorrow on 1620 The Zone.